Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the Thursday, April 30th Special Town Council meeting to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a roll call, please?
Allenson. Carmody.
Here.
Fishbein. Laffin.
Here.
Reynolds.
Here.
Rivard.
Here.
Versace.
Here.
Tata.
Here.
Testa.
Here. Okay. The first item is actually a bit of a workshop where it's listed as a review of a budget. What I wanted to do, and inadvertently didn't have it properly noted on our Tuesday night meeting, was to allow for just a casual discussion, if you will, informal discussion, more of a workshop for the council. If they had any particular questions about any budget items or specific questions about the impact of something, well, not so much the impact of something, but how something could be accomplished. And then, of course, when we have when we start taking motions, then that'll be the formal discussions. So there may be nothing to this, but I did have one of my own, and this was for the administration. This is just for, so we'd all understand the process. If we were to, for example, want to bond some of the capital items, and specifically something like a vehicle, a dump truck, a fire truck, some of those capital type items, if we wanted to bond that, instead of have it in the budget, the operating budget, and my understanding is we would have to remove it from the budget, but what would be the, in effect, is there any way we could then know or guarantee that that would then be bonded? Like procedurally?
The challenge you're left with is that the administration has to initiate the bond process.
Right. Okay, so we cannot say make a motion to remove a dump truck from the budget, reduce that line item, and then have it paid for with bonding tonight.
No.
Right.
There has to be a bond ordinance prepared. The administration initiates that.
Okay, and we could request all of that, but it would be up to the administration to agree to do that.
That is correct.
Okay, that was important for me to understand. Anyone else have any general? Christina. Yes, Councilor Tata.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I know I called you on Monday about this, but just procedurally. So I believe last year we had a little bit of not an issue, but maybe an oversight. So if somebody makes a motion, basically once that motion's on the floor, now we're only dealing with that motion. And I know last year an initial motion was made. We ended up speaking for probably several hours about that motion, and then we voted on that motion. And then once that was over, I believe it was Councilor Reynolds kind of said, well, I had something else that I would have liked to present, but we kind of had already settled everything with the first motion. So right. I was just wondering, as far as the flow of the meeting, if you want us, if anybody has ideas to present, if you would rather everybody present everything first without a motion and just discuss, or if you would rather just motions thrown out.
I think that was what I wanted to happen now. In other words, that was what I was hoping for, that we could share with one another what our intentions were going to be. So there's no surprises. So it affects, in effect, it does the same thing you're asking. Because if you're saying, before we take motions, do we want to propose things first so everybody knows? And that's what I want to see done now.
So just so everything is on the table, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. We know, and then we will formally, entertain motions.
Okay.
That's what I was kind of hoping for.
Okay. I mean, I do have proposals, a list of proposals. So I don't know if you want it during. I certainly don't need to go first, but if if you want it during this agenda item, just so you're aware, I do have a list of items to present, so.
You don't have to be specific, but if you want it, you could give an idea what you were hoping to do.
It's pretty specific.
Well, then we'll just wait. See, I don't think this is going to work out the way I was hoping. You could go down the whole list if you want.
Yeah, do you want that now, or do you want to wait to hear from others
I'm
first?
asking
I mean,
my fellow
yeah,
councilors,
yeah.
would you like to hear this stuff? Yeah, why don't we? And it's not a motion, because this is a workshop. This is not a public, we're not entertaining any motions right now. So you could just tell us what you had in mind.
Okay, you want me to present my whole
Sure.
plan? All right.
Yeah, that'd be
Did
great.
anyone else want to go first? I don't want to jump the.
No,
if somebody else.
I was going to let you go first anyway.
All right, I've got handouts too, so.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna start and just give a little background, and then I do have a list for everyone to follow along with, but I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts first, and then I'll give everyone a list to follow along.
Great.
So first of all, this year, this budget, I just want to thank everybody, department heads and the rest of the counselors. I always learn a lot during budget season every year. I know it's a lot of meetings, a lot of hours, but every year I learn more and more and understand it a little bit better. So this is my 7th budget now, I believe. But I'm especially, this year was impressed with the new counselors. I think your diligence and Counselor Versace is also on too. You could tell that you really did your homework and took it seriously. So thank you to the new counselors also. This was sent to, I wanted to read this. This was sent to me by a constituent. They saw it online and sent it to me. But this is kind of what's been on my mind the last year. So obviously last year we had an unprecedented year with the tax increase. And the majority of that was because of the revaluation and the tax burden shifting onto our residents from the commercial side. So I just wanted to read this because I thought it kind of summed it up well, kind of what's been on my mind the last year. So he says, I'm being taxed on money I never made. Let that sink in. I bought my property outright for $60,000 in 2015. Now the county says it's worth $246,000. Did I sell it? No. Did I make a profit? No. Did I get a check for $246,000? No. But my taxes jumped like I did. That's the problem. This isn't income. This isn't cash. It's a number someone decided on paper, and now I'm being billed for it. If my stock portfolio doubles, I don't pay taxes until I sell. If my income doesn't increase, I don't magically owe more income tax. So why does owning a home work differently? Why am I being taxed on unrealized gains? A house just isn't an investment. It's where people live. And this system means you can do everything right, pay off your home, and still get squeezed harder every year because of a number you never turned into money. You don't truly own something if you can be taxed out of it. This isn't about services or inflation. It's about being charged for value you never received. So that kind of hit home for me because I think that's where a lot of our residents kind of found themselves, and us included, with the taxes last year. So that being said, I wanted to really dig in this year and do as much as I could to kind of lessen that tax burden on our residents. I'm sure you've all heard from people this year too, as I did, about elderly people who said they couldn't afford their taxes anymore. And we talk about housing and wanting to help those citizens stay in their houses, and taxes is a great place to start. I heard from 2 families last year who said they had to cancel family vacations because they couldn't afford the tax increase, and that was the easiest thing to save money on, which was obviously hard to hear. So last year, the residents really had to pay, and so this year, my theory was that I think the government needs to kind of do its share to pull its weight. So in my proposal, basically every department is still getting an increase, but maybe just not quite as much of an increase as they had wanted. I know a large part of our budget increase we hear about is wages. Obviously, we have contract negotiations, and wages go up every year. But if we accept that, then that means that this is our baseline. So basically, that means every single year, our taxes are just automatically going to go up about 3% just based on that. So I think we need to really discuss efficiencies and the money that we're spending on IT and new systems, and see where we can actually save money instead of just accepting that the wage increase is going to be 3% every year on average. So for me, my kind of non-negotiable this year, just so everyone knows where I stand, is increasing taxes. I just simply can't do it to the people this year. Last year has been on my mind, like I said, And I can't place that on the people again this year. You hear it a lot, like all politics is local. So what we decide here tonight will have a direct impact on the people of Wallingford. So my plan, and I have specifics and I'll pass this to everybody. I talked to the comptroller. He told me that we would need to find $4,636,000 to have a zero tax increase or to not increase taxes. I went through, my plan is aggressive, but I was able to find $7,235,806 in savings. My math might be a little bit wrong here, but I think that's about a 3% decrease in taxes if all of these were to go through. That being said, I know some of these ideas might be a little bit aggressive or people might not like some of them. So there is wiggle room in here. So like I said, for me personally, my goal is a zero tax increase. So if there's things in here that really seem outlandish or that people don't like, there's certainly room for compromise and negotiation, and we can take some out and still get to that zero. So I'm just gonna, if you can, I'll just pass these down, and then I'll go, actually, I'll give one to the clerk, yeah. And there is one for the comptroller, man. I'll go through each item individually, too. It's just one page, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, the copied staple, yeah, no. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Chairman, while we're looking at that, this is what you wanted, right? We're presenting, okay. Before I go line by line, okay. All right. So the first one, this one might sound controversial, but hear me out. So one idea I had, and this came up years ago, and we talked about whether we could do this or couldn't do it, and the law department looked into it and said ultimately that we could. I proposed that each department try to find 1% of savings of their entire budget. So that doesn't mean that they're cutting 1%. That would mean that from whatever increase they're getting, so there were some departments that got a 19% increase, some departments only got, a 3% increase, but for them to find 1% in savings, that would result in a savings of approximately $2,113,000. While we were going through the budget, I was looking specifically for that to see where I would suggest they could maybe save 1%. And in most departments' budgets, I could find it fairly easily, I think. I think if you told a household you have to save 1% next year in savings, we could all do that fairly easily. So I don't think it's a huge stretch to ask for that. And so I just kind of saw that as maybe the government chipping in a little bit this year since we kind of hit the residents so hard last year. The next item is to add back in $1.9 million back in from the general fund. The $1.9 million, that was the most recent audit surplus. So we went over the CAFR a few months ago. They said our last audited fiscal year, we ended up with $1.9 million surplus. To me, that's the taxpayers' money that we overtaxed them on. Not that we did it on purpose, but that's just where we ended up. So I strongly feel that giving that money back to the taxpayers is appropriate. The next line is to increase the reserve spending to $9 million from the mayor's proposed $9 million. So I talk about this every year. That number is a number on paper. I say it every year, we never use it. Sometimes we use a little bit of it, but in the past 4 years, we haven't spent any of it. That's basically, to me, a number on paper to get the budget balanced, but we know that we're not going to spend it. If we ever did spend all of that, it would be catastrophic. So I think we all know we're not going to spend it, and so if we add another $1 million on paper, it doesn't change the net effect of anything, but it just reduces the tax burden by $1 million. The next line, the contingency lines. So there's 2 contingency lines in this budget. $600,000 for general government, $570,405 for Board of Ed. I know the administration is not a fan of this. We reduced it last year, but I got the numbers from the comptroller last year. We didn't end up using it all, even though we reduced it. My theory with this is that the contingency line is basically a what if. And I'm not really supportive of taxing people for a what if. Now, worst comes to worst, and we do need the contingency lines, we have the general fund, so we can always get the money from there because we have a healthy general fund. And the Board of Ed also has their 2% fund. So the Board of Ed kind of has two places they could get it from, the 2% fund or the general fund. If they came to us and said that they needed it, we could always get it from there. Another aspect of that is I heard, and I'm not sure if it's true, but I heard a rumor that we may be getting additional Board of Ed funds from the state. I heard anywhere from $700,000 to $1.2 million. If that were to happen, then that would be a good spot that could get dumped back into that if we were to pass this motion. The next one is to eliminate the new assistant risk manager position. So that was $119,000, I'm sorry, $119,189 plus benefits. So when you add it back in the benefits, I'm gonna conservatively say it's $150,000. That, to me, sounded like it was kind of more for succession planning and to find a replacement once the current risk manager retires, and it didn't really seem like it was a position that we would need permanently. That was just my take from the budget hearing, so I think that we could probably not implement that position and save that money there. The next one is to eliminate the work study position. It's only $7,000, but during the budget hearings, I think it sounded like the mayor didn't think it was in the budget, and then when he kind of spoke about why we didn't really need it, and then realized it was in the budget, and then I think because we had kind of already heard it really wasn't that necessary, then once we realized it was in the budget, I just think it was kind of said it wasn't really necessary, so why is it in there if it's really not necessary? The next one, this is not me deciding this. This came up during the Public Works budget, but we're gonna switch the Public Works, they're gonna get the dump truck versus getting the loader. Mr. Baltramitis was on board with that, and that saved $50,000. And then the last one under savings is the building department. We realized during the budget hearings had a typo on page 39, which once we just fix the typo, it saves $25,000. So that's it for the savings. Now we can be more accurate than what's in the book right now. Line 46020, increase the police department revenue projection by $275,000. That would basically make it match the last fiscal year. So I think that's appropriate that we recognize that. Line 42085 is the building revenue projection. I propose that we increase that by $235,000, which would make it match the last fiscal year. And then an additional $75,000 in anticipated revised fees. The building inspector the director, did tell us that he was going to hopefully be coming to us to increase those fees, probably during ordinance, I think. So in anticipation of that, I think that would increase by about $75,000 there. And then line 44010, interest on investments. I propose that we increase that by $60,000. If you look at that line, it was underestimated by much more than that this year, so I think $60,000 is kind of a conservative estimate that we could increase that by. And then the last section. So this section is net zero changes. So these changes do not have any financial impact, and I'll explain how, but they're things that came up during the budget hearings that I just thought were important and that we should potentially look at changing. So the first one is for the fire department and emergency services. I propose that we would add the 2 MSO positions, so that brings that to 1 per shift. And also add 1 fire inspector. The MSOs, the cost is $96,401 plus approximately $24,100 in benefits, which means each of those positions costs us approximately $120,500, and times 2 of them are at $241,000. The fire inspector is $103,287 plus $25,821 in benefits, which brings it to $129,108. So for all 3 of those positions, we're looking at about $370,000. So I obviously, you could tell from what I presented so far, I was not looking to add anything at all to the budget this year. So I had to look at how to fund that. I did talk to Chief Buck about this, and my proposal was to remove 2 capital items, well, actually 4 capital items. So remove the ambulance remount, which was $175,000, and the 3 fire marshal vehicles, which would total $225,000. So removing those 4 capital items would cover the funding of adding those 3 positions. I know they obviously need the capital items, but I think we can wait a year, and I did run that by Chief Buck. And also, I'm hoping that maybe during this year, we may have some opportunities for maybe getting donations for those to cover some capital items. So obviously, nothing anyone can guarantee, but I would be hopeful that maybe we can try to get something covered with donations. Might be nice. But if not, they wait a year for those, and the 3 positions, I think, to me, seem like they're more important. And the last one, and again, this would be a net zero change fiscally, I would propose that we fund $5,000 to the Wallingford Yalesville Little League. That funding was not put in this year's budget, and it seemed from the public hearings that there was some sort of maybe a misunderstanding there about how that happened. So I would propose we put $5,000 back to them, and also $5,000 to the Golden Fox Theater. That was also spoken a lot at the hearings, and where I would get that money from would be by decreasing line 58201, which is community grants under YNSS, by $10,000. I think that money might be better served in those 2 groups, and then that would just minimize the line in the YNSS line there, which that line basically goes to the coalition. So that is my list. Obviously, Mr. Chairman, it's up to you how you want to proceed, if you want to talk about each one, if you want motions of everybody's, but that's...
Yeah, well, hold on the motions, but no, I really appreciate you sharing that and how you spelled all this out.
Thank you.
And it allows it, and I know that some of these things cross over with some ideas that others have had.
Okay.
Or do have. So this is, at least we can see what you're looking to do here, what you'd like to do. I'm just looking at one more thing. So to clarify, the decrease in the community grant would be specifically from the Coalition of Better Wallingford line?
Yeah, so the line is titled Community Grants. Traditionally, it has gone to the coalition, so it was $25,000, and if I reduce it by the 10, it would leave it at $15,000. And I did speak with several departments about that before. So none of those changes that are in this bottom part was just me. I did speak with department heads before.
Right.
Before putting those out there. Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. Nothing else, you do your homework.
I try.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. I would ask for clarification on one thing.
Sure.
Which I forgot to do earlier, from the administration. When, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the anticipated increase in state funds from the state for the education cost sharing, possibly something else. Councilor Fishbein threw out the number 700,000 the other night. So it could be anything, but my comments to my colleagues about this was that we won't, well, let me just ask you, would you be increasing on the revenue side of this budget any anticipated increases because at this point?
My understanding is that the vote on that money is next week. I've also, some of the math I've seen is that the total amount might not be more than $500,000.
Right.
So my thought is that we can wait and see if that money is in fact coming our way, and then the night of the adoption of the budget, we can pivot to include that money in revenue.
Because whatever that is, it does go into our general fund.
It does.
It doesn't go directly to the Board of Ed or to anywhere else. But
Right.
on the bottom line, it could offset whatever else we wanted to do.
So we would increase the state education revenue line, and then you could correspondingly decrease the tax-generated income line. But our preference, strong preference, is to wait and see what we actually get.
Right, right. See, I was trying to figure out, how that would work. We can't allocate that anywhere. Does anyone else have any questions of Counselor Tata and what she was looking to do? Yes, Mr. Senna. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. The adding back the 1.9 million surplus, that is what the 9 million is. That's what we're doing when we do the 9 million. So what you're proposing is to add 2.9 million to that number.
Correct.
All right, and then.
Wait, hold on. Correct? So you're suggesting that we increase the amount from reserves to the revenue of the budget by $2.9 million, not $1 million. You're showing it in two different ways, but
Correct, so yes.
yes, okay,
Correct, so 1.9 million just to recognize the most recent audit, and then
Sure.
and then an additional million, yes.
right.
Correct.
So really that goes from 9 to 11.9.
Correct,
Okay, that's important to know.
yes.
Great.
And then I've got a couple. On the increases in revenue, those projections came from the chiefs of those departments. So I would have more confidence in them telling us what's coming in than to just randomly add money into that. And part of the police department revenue, there's expenses that go with that. So even though it is higher than originally budgeted, he comes back and asks for additional revenue and additional expenses. If you add the additional revenue now, he's not going to have money for the additional costs of those extra officers when it happens. And the interest income, the year we're in now, we're tracking to be dead on, but they keep threatening to lower interest rates. So my guess is that number is going down, not high. I would not be comfortable increasing the interest revenue line item. And the building revenue line, I'm adding 300,000 to that. I mean, you would have to ask the building department, but when I asked for the number, he gave me the number I used. So the problem with increasing revenue is if it doesn't come in, you've just created a hole.
Okay.
And I did a handout that I'd like to hand out to you guys that I'll hand out in a second. And what it is fund balance of the towns, the highest populations that we relate to. I was only able to get the ones that actually issued audit reports, but I wanted to get, towns our size. So there's a list, and it shows what our fund balance is and what the other town's fund balance is. And if you look at it, you'll see that we do not have an exorbitant amount of fund balance. We're pretty much right where we're supposed to be. But I think it's a good thing for you guys to look at. So if you don't mind, I'll come pass that out.
Certainly. While you're doing that, I will clarify that, or at least state that when you make these motions, I will ask each of those department heads to come forward and verify or discuss the, the impact of those three.
Sure. May I just
As far
respond, Mr. Chairman, to the?
Yeah, and then you may, of course, now you may, yes.
Thank you. I would just say, as far as the term that they were randomly picked, nothing in here was randomly chosen. So any of the edits that I was proposed, I spent hours and hours over the last few weeks speaking with department heads and thank you, and other employees, and also looking back at years of data. So I keep our budgets back I keep all of mine since I've been on here, so 7 years, and then I actually have data back 10 years. And so any of these changes, specifically the revenues, is based on past history and or discussions with department heads. So So nothing in here is just a random, me throwing out a number. And I think if everybody looks on like the revenue pages, you can see, at least over the past year or so, where those numbers stemmed from. So this was based on historical data. Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Laffin.
Thanks, and I'm sorry if you said this when you were reading through. I had to step out for a thing. In the net zero changes, I'm all for. I was going to bring up adding the medical safety officer, at least one, if not both, and chat about the fire inspector stuff. But the net zero part, the removing the ambulance remount and the fire marshal vehicles, those come from capital, right? But the other are did you say this already, or?
I did, but I'm happy to repeat it. So, you're correct. So the marshal vehicles would add up to $225,000, and the ambulance remount would be $175,000. The 3 positions, including benefits, would total about $370,000. So it does, taking that capital and using the capital funding
For operational.
and then we hold off on that capital until the next budget season. Again, I did speak with the departments about this. Or what I'm hoping, maybe, and this might be wishful thinking, but I'm hoping we could maybe get some of that capital donated. I've heard that there's a little bit of interest from some agencies that maybe they would like to donate. That would be wonderful if we could. But if not, I think we could just wait a year to purchase that capital.
Right.
And then obviously those positions are then solidified.
And I think that's one issue, and I think it's separate, though. My issue, as is every year when this comes up, is that it comes from capital funds to fund operational recurring expenses. So I guess I'd ask Mr. Senna, or the mayor, if we don't spend $225,000 out of the capital fund, we move it over to operations, or we spend it on that, but then next year we don't have that money guaranteed the same way, correct? Like that, we're supposed to spend that on capital expenditures for non-recurring expenses.
No, that's the cap and non-fund, that's not.
Oh, okay.
That's not this.
Okay,
So these, basically, each department has their salary and wages, the operations and the operations, and then they have their capital budget.
Yeah.
So you would just be cutting their capital budget.
forever.
Yeah, these were until, it's gone, you're
Right.
not funding it, and then they would have to put it in next year.
Okay. Okay, that's it for me right now. I had questions and comments, but Mr. Sen, you covered them with the 1.9 from the surplus is already in the 9 million. And so increasing it and stuff. And the contingency lines, I voted against that last time. We heard about the problems it caused this time and in the past when we cut contingency. I don't look at those as a what if. I look at that as a be prepared fund. And coming from Boy Scouts, that's a big thing. So, all right, that's it for me for now on these things. But thank you for the thorough look.
Does anyone else have any questions of Counselor Tata? Yes.
First of all, thank you for the work. It's clear that you take this seriously, and actually, I like the concept of looking at revenues. I think the problem with this is on the revenue side is, I think my instinct on this and seeing the economy around it, there's probably downward pressure on revenues. This may be consistent, but I also know that all of the estimates we have, came from the department heads, and there's other factors like I mentioned. But the one that is driving the savings, this 1%, I hope, when we get there, I really want to hear potential impacts of that, because, in my experience, in my business, when we drive savings like this, sometimes we have unanticipated consequences. So I'd be really interested to hear the impacts when we go through this of just a carte blanche across the board. Marginally on the reserves, maybe some of that I'm okay with. And then, I was going to be supportive already of maybe the inspectors for sure, and some other items. And then, I know The only other thing I was really interested in is trying to get the Board of Ed back to their strategic budget. And I don't know if any others were interested in that, but I'm conceptually okay with the inspectors and fire. I also am kind of hesitant on capital items, just dropping them out, because I think that has gotten us into some trouble over the years, especially if we're trying to offset it with operational expenses. I'd like to smooth things out on that. I think that's a practice I'm looking for. So that's my thoughts. I don't know if you had any, on the 1%, Christina, did you have thoughts, or you think that it's like a challenge, which I understand. Yeah. It's like a challenge to take kind of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, may I, Mr. Chairman, or?
Of course. Oh, yeah, this is an informal discussion right now. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, I actually, so that was probably the one that I sat there last night at midnight at my computer deciding, do I even put that one on this list or do I leave it off? And I know, I figured that won't be a hard sell. The good thing is, so basically, like for me, my goal was to get to the 0, and I'm obviously way beyond. So if we're nervous about that one, which I completely understand why people might be hesitant on that one, we can take that one out, and we're still at a 0 increase if everything else were to go. So like I said, there is wiggle room here, and you know, maybe the 0 increase is not everybody's, it's not everybody's goal. So obviously there could be other things that you don't like. For me, it is, but we could take that out and we'd still be there. So I left it in because I just wanted to leave everything on the table and see how we felt. But I certainly understand your hesitation on that one. So I'm not married to that if that comes out.
Okay, thanks.
My thoughts on that were that you'd really be asking a department to cut 1% of their budget aside from their personnel expenses. Otherwise, you're asking them to potentially cut their personnel,
Yeah, I mean, I think.
right? I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
in effect, if I said, I'm looking at Public Works, for example, and operation and, what's that? Right, the total number, all right, which I'm assuming is about 7.2 million, right? 4 million is salaries and wages. Operation and maintenance is 3.2. So if you said trim up 1%, and it was across the board, you're asking them to do some cuts in their salaries and wages along with, and I'm not saying, and I don't think that I wouldn't be in favor of that. But at the same time, I think it's not unreasonable, I'm not sure I'm in favor of it, but it's not unreasonable to ask a department to trim a certain percentage from their operation budget, not their personnel budget. And that's stuff.
Yes, and
That's
I
things
see
and
what you're-
stuff, not
yeah.
people.
I see what you're saying. When I said across the board, I don't.
Well, yeah.
I didn't mean from each line item. I think what I was thinking was that rather than us tell them what we want,
Right.
maybe let each department head say, hey, I'm not going to buy that copier this year. There's my 1%. Or I'm going to, whatever the case may be. I didn't mean across the board as in every single line
Right.
item. So if, and the other thing too is we always talk about the salary lines. I think we know when I look back at the audits and the annual reports, we know that almost every department's salary line is always underspent because we're never staffed to 100%. So even right there, I think there could be a 1% savings. Now, how we put that on paper, because you're not going to cut a position, but when I look at, the annual end of the year reports over the past 7 years or so, there's very few departments that don't have at least a 1% surplus. So that was kind of what my thought process was there. But I certainly understand what you're saying too. And however, if we are going to look at that, however we want to make it happen is fine.
Just bear with me for a moment. Okay. Yeah, I was just using Public Works as an example. So their budget increased about 9%. More than half of that is personnel, of course, but if you said 1%, okay, I just wanted to see how close a haircut it would be, for any individual department, that's it. And I know you weren't implying take it out of personnel. I think I just did that for clarification for all of our thought processes, that 1% haircut would really have to be from operations of the department, not the personnel of the department. That's it. And maybe we'd look at that and say, I could maybe go along with that if it was 0.5%, or 1/4%. I mean, just something symbolic even, but that does add up. It does add up. In other words, save some money. But that's just how I would look at that one. I'm not necessarily in favor of it, but, okay. There's no more questions about that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may.
Of course you may.
Each department, 1% savings, is that just general government, or does that include the Board of Education?
My thought process was to include Board of Education also.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to look real quick and see if I had any more of my own. Oh yeah, you clarified that the vehicles that Councilor Tata suggested we could remove were not coming from the capital fund that has to be spent on capital items. So that's understandable. Okay, and I like some of this other stuff. All right, now I know that there might be some other ideas. Would anyone else like to share some ideas that they wanted to propose? Councilor Reynolds. Oh, well,
So
were there more on what she said?
I just have.
I was just going to go
some-
back and forth, but go ahead.
I just have some comments. And
Yes, of
I mean,
course.
I think because the cat's out of the bag, like, we can kind of talk through, a lot of these were things that I had thought about.
Yes, of course.
So, I am in agreement with, I'm in agreement with adding, oh my God. Adding, at least one fire inspector, if not both. I'm also in agreement with reducing fire marshal vehicles. Maybe we waive the expenditure instead of doing all three at once. Of course, I'm sure we're going to hear from the department as far as that's concerned. And I'm also sure that, if we're choosing between the two, it would be, I'm not trying to fund the position out of the fire marshal vehicles. I'm just thinking that it could be less of a burden if we tiered the expenditure. Then as far as this is concerned, I think adding some revenue to building, the building revenue projection is probably valid. I don't know, I wouldn't add, I would probably add the 75,000 and not the 235, only because I feel like Lou would have put that in if it was, a thing. Lou, sorry, the department director. And I also think that out of that, my thought process was that they would then be able to fund their own full-time person instead of a part-time person. So that was it really on this. I can speak more on the rest of my thoughts, but I'm definitely in agreement with at least one fire inspector, reducing and maybe postponing into the next year or two, fire marshal vehicles. I'm in agreement with Little League. I do think that maybe we have to do one more year because we didn't have a lot of clarity around why those funds were discontinued. Unfortunately, the two folks who spoke on it were here at different times. So then I'm actually okay with increasing reserve spending. So I think you did a great job, and obviously, as always.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I do want to point out that we did receive an amendment from the administration that they would be making they had proposed adjustments. And the loader in a dump truck was, take out the loader, add a dump truck, was what was being suggested. Does that related to your,
Yeah, those were both in there.
Same one, yeah. So my proposal and the mayor's are the same
so it's
thing.
the same?
Correct.
So that's going to happen anyway? If,
Looks it, if someone makes a
well, I'm
motion.
saying it, so we could, I mean, you don't have to make that motion.
I mean, I guess we,
I'm just saying
yeah,
that
we
because-
either include it
Well,
with mine or with the mayor's.
council
but-
has to make the motion. You guys have to.
Oh, we
make
have to
the
make it
motion.
anyway, okay. But that was something that was, so that's the one. When you wrote plow trunk versus loader, that means.
Yeah, so
Right.
they're gonna get that instead of.
Got it.
loader. Yeah.
So that would be a good one, okay. Anything else? Okay, anybody on my right, the world's left, have any things they'd like to talk about and propose, suggest? Yes, Counselor Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, thank you, Councilor Tata. This is really great, and I spent a lot of time looking at the budget with the backup, without the backup, with the backup. It's a bear electronically because it's over like 400 pages. You never know what page you're on, and so all of these details laid out are great. I'll plead ignorance. I had no idea we could increase the revenue projections, so I didn't even look there. And then or Chairman Tested asked of the administration about bonding, because, the way that I started to think about it, similar to last year, don't worry, our suggestions don't eliminate contingency, at least that's what we tried not to do, although I don't think it was as big of a problem as we were told it was, because we still didn't run out of money and we had everything we needed, but that's okay. We heard it, we didn't mess with it. Departments don't like it, great. The bonding piece, though, is something, and again, I know that we can't, but I mean, if you look deep in this budget, there's a whole bunch of expensive stuff in there that, in theory, given that you could total it up to over $1 million, a bonding package could get you your public works trucks, I know that we're not supposed to, police cars, fire trucks. I mean, like, we could bond all that. It wouldn't cost the taxpayer a dime this year. It would cost it long-term, but we're not doing that. And I'm only bringing that up now because that was my thought process. See, my thought process in our thought process, I'm speaking for us, but our general thought process was everybody came to us, they negotiated with the mayor gave them what he felt comfortable giving them, they accepted that to a certain extent, it comes here, and then they make their appeal. And so, ideally, what I was thinking about, and I think what we were trying to think about, was how do we pay for everything that's in there, but do it in a way that costs taxpayers less? And absent us being able to say, pull out all of these things and go with bonding, we can't, right? So there's money in here that we can't touch that are capital expenses, short of us just cutting it out. And I want to make that clear, because we could just say, no public works trucks, no fire trucks, no police trucks, no, 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 no. And maybe we could even vote on it and pass it. But we're not interested in doing that because we hear you and we know that you're telling us what you need, and our job is to try to pay for it for you, or at least work with everybody to pay for it for you. So that's just the baseline here, and that's where I'm coming from. That's where I hope all of us are coming from, I believe. Our approach is a little, actually, I wouldn't say, it's actually less. So the 1.9 million surplus we also eyed, recognizing that it goes into the 9 million that we push forward. What we had suggested was using at least half of that to fill positions that we had heard from departments were necessary. In particular, from fire, we would think about adding 1 med safety, 1 fire inspector, and 1 firefighter, 1 position of each of the ones that were requested. We also talked about adding the senior clerk to the building department, because what we heard, again, fire inspections, fire safety, building inspections, et cetera, increased volume in buildings and so forth. So we need more people, we need more inspections. That's what we were looking to do. And then the last piece was that we wanted to restore the $600,632 to the Board of Ed, because we feel that, they need to be fully funded. And even if you look at their budget, there's stuff that they're choosing and electing not to do and pushing off in a 10-year plan. So the long and short of what we had thought about was something to the effect of $924,619 to come out of our bank account to go into the budget to cover these things. Now, before anyone says anything like your taxes are going to go up next year, yeah, they are, right? They are going to go up next year. And then we're going to have to debate on how to lower what your taxes go up. So my first question actually is to the comptroller. Based on the current projected tax increase, do we know the median income, like what the change would be or from this year to next, tax-wise?
Yes, just give me 1 second.
Sure.
The average is 3.19.
Okay.
Hold on. The median is 2.84.
Say that?
The median is an increase of 2.84.
Okay. And do we know like what that would, like per household, what that would?
So on the average house for the year, on the proposed mayor's budget, is $214, which is $18 a month.
Okay.
For the median, it's $179 and about $15 a month.
Okay. Okay. A month. So between $15 and $18 a month-ish? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I thought you said $214 a month.
No.
thank
It's
you.
for the year.
Yes, thank you.
And so under,
And that's on an average house. So,
Right.
you know.
Gotcha.
so, yeah. And so just, again, full disclosure, ours does not look at increasing revenues. Ours does not look in taking away any capital items. Ours does not look at changing any of the funding for any of the specific things. Ours was in response to the request from departments to add back some. This year, we take it out of what we had over budgeted for last year, theoretically, right? A 1.9, surplus means we over budgeted 1.9 million. Whether that's in the account that goes into the 9 million or not, we just look at it as like, okay, well, last year we were over 1.9 million. We've had a few people come here multiple times and ask things like, can we, do a tax break back to taxpayers and so forth? Well, this would probably be the closest way that we could actually do it, which would be to take money out of our piggy bank and put it into the revenue side so that it offsets for you. Now, but in our plan, it does not reduce anything, right? It just keeps the mayor's budget as is, and we just added some stuff to it with our own money. And if I'm not characterizing this incorrectly, then in theory, to Councilor Tata's point, next year, if we do come over again, because we haven't fully hired everybody in every department, I would imagine that we would probably come in somewhere about $9 million over again, which the money would then go back, and we've been doing this for a long time. So that was what we were suggesting, or at least that was our side of it. I don't know if anyone else had anything to add, if I missed anything, or if anybody has any questions for me. So,
Yeah, I'm just going to clarify too, being from that side, if you will, but even though I'm in the middle. All of the potential increases in expenditure that you are suggesting, Councilor Reynolds, will be offset by an increase in the contribution from the reserve fund to revenues, correct?
correct.
Which is what you meant. So there would be no additional tax burden
Correct.
added.
Correct, and nor reduction.
Nor
and
reduction.
I was trying to point out that
Right.
last year, what we tried to do was reduce overall.
Right.
And again, plenty of ideas, like I could tell you all about them, but they all involve bonding. And since bonding's off the table, that's what I got so far.
Well, interestingly, I'll just point out that what you want to do could be achieved with the suggested increase of $2.9 million from revenues to revenue that Councilor Tata has suggested, resulting in both the additional expenditures that you want to see, plus there would be a reduction in the tax increase. So what's nice about this is, who knows, everybody might get a little of what they're hoping for here. You never know. Councilor Allenson.
I think you actually answered the question by your proposal of the 2.9, and then you asked, So you would not be doing the 1.9 that was from the audit. You would just, and you're not covering the 900,000 with the 1.9 plus some
Counselor Reynolds?
to Council
Yeah.
Reynolds, yeah.
The 924 plus that we're proposing
Yeah.
would come out of that 1.9.
Well, it would.
Right, but-
Would you, but you're not proposing that we kind of,
Take
take the whole 1.9 off?
No. We were, again, hearing the issues with bonds and how much money we need, the backup and everything. We tried to go lean and mean this year, which was don't mess with cap and non, although I have a whole bunch of ideas. If anyone wants to meet me afterward, I'll tell you about them. Don't mess with capital expenses and suggest bonding because we can't. Again, I'll talk to you about it till my hair grows back. But the money that we are suggesting would be out of the 1.9, not all of the 1.9. So it would be
Okay.
of the 1.9, about $925,000.
How would you feel about the 1.9, I guess, is the question now.
Well, this is where, what happens if it happens? That's my question, because if, let's just say hypothetically, next year, bumper crop of applicants, HR is firing on all cylinders, we hire every single person imaginable, including these people.
I hope we do.
The 900,000 plus the 9 million we just shoved in there year over year over year goes poof. We don't take the 9 million back, and then next year when we tax everybody, it's $10 million more. So I was just trying to claw our way into what we had for a surplus, if you will, to offset what we were asked for from, safety, school, and buildings. And so that was really the gist. So, if we take $1 million and put it in this year, that's great, but if everything happens, then next year the money's gone, and then we're gonna be raising taxes even more. So that's my answer, if that's helpful.
Counselor Laffin?
Regarding the proposal from this side, I actually really, I really like it. I'm typically very against the raising the surplus spending, but I'm aware of, but the claw into these additional positions, which I feel are crucial, in addition to a way of, if I'm going to add the phrase, to claw back into that hard year we had last year with raising taxes. And, we got the other audit, there was a surplus. Knowing, and I'm accepting that we are going to spend down part of that general fund this year. And if anybody thinks that it's not going to happen, then I think that's an irresponsible vote for this. This would be an acknowledgement that we are going to, in the plan, reduce the general fund by 0.9 million, right? By almost $1 million. And we've done that before. It's happened. We haven't done it. It's happened as part of the plan, and it's happened when we've only had 4 or 6 million put aside, let alone 9 or 10. But if the budget is lean as we're being told, or as we believe it is, then that should happen. And I'm saying that I think this time I would be okay with that.
Yes, Counselor Tata.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the proposal. I like that several things kind of overlap between mine and this one, so that's always a good thing. So a few things. One, about the spending of the reserves, because we've been kind of talking about that. So I'm going back now to the 2009-10 fiscal year, and looking at all of what we've always designated from the reserves and what we've actually spent. And it ranges anywhere from 4.3 million was the lowest amount in 13-14, and then 14-15, and then it goes anywhere up to the highest amount. The highest amount is the current one, 9 million, and the year before was 7. Well, we're still in that, so we don't know the result. But then the year before, 7.9. So so we're allocating, you know, on paper, anywhere from 4.3 to 7.9 over the past 15 years, and the most we've ever actually spent, the highest year, was 1,692,000. The majority of the years were zero. A few years, you know, obviously if there's a deficit, you're gonna, but we're close. I mean, the good thing is our budget is pretty close every year. Like you know, some years we have a small deficit, some years we have a little bit of a surplus, but we're pretty close. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that out there. The most we've ever actually spent of it was in, you know, in recent history was 2020 and 21, which is also, you know, an odd year, 1.6 million. So that's that. Just in regards to a couple things that you had mentioned, so you mentioned in the beginning, you know, we will raise taxes, that, you know, we can't not raise it. I mean, I would argue based on what I presented earlier that we don't have to. You know, I found 7.2 million in savings, so we could, if everything that I proposed went through, we could reduce taxes by about 2.5%, 3%, if my math is right there. I understand why, you know, if all of these ideas don't go through, that's okay. I'm even happy getting to the zero, but we don't have to, you know. I think there's a very plausible way to not raise taxes this year, and it sounds like we're all kind of on the same page with some of this. So we might just don't discount it yet, because I think we might be able to get there. And then in regards to, you were talking about the MSO positions and the fire inspector and the firefighter. So I would argue that I think the way that I see what you did. So basically you said one MSO, one inspector, and one firefighter, because there were requests for multiple of each of those positions. My opinion, I think strategically you're better off, I think the 2 MSOs is better than doing one of each. So I know in my proposal I had 2 MSOs and 1 fire inspector. The MSO is basically what's happening now is so the fire department works on 4 shifts. So any given day, there's one shift is on 24 hours and the next day, the next shift. So right now, 2 shifts have an MSO and 2 shifts do not. So if you add 1 MSO, now you're gonna have 3 shifts with them and 1 without. So it's kind of like, well, now like you're hoping the big fire doesn't come on the 1 shift that wouldn't have that role. So for me personally, I think it's better, instead of doing 1 of each, to make sure we at least get the MSOs so that there's 1 on every single shift. Because if not, now 1 of those shifts or 2 of those shifts is kind of at a disadvantage. And, you know, that's obviously, you can't, you know, they can't plan when the big incident's gonna happen and hope that it's the shift that has the MSO on that day. So I would just suggest maybe we look at that instead. But I'm not against, you know, the idea of putting those positions in, but I just think that might be a better way to do it. Thank you.
My turn. Anyone else? I would, one moment, please. I would be in favor of, you know, having Counselor Reynolds, you know, up his suggestion and add the 2 MSO positions plus the fire inspector. Those, as what you're suggesting. But I would be, and I am, against removing the remount of the ambulance and the fire marshal vehicles. So I would be in favor of adding those 3 positions. As we were going to suggest 2 of them, I would add 3, but not take out those vehicles. And I think most importantly, the fire marshal vehicles, I think, is a safety issue, and that's enough for me. But anyway, now we're starting to get into what we would say when motions are made. So I think we have a rough idea, or a pretty good general idea, of what's on the table, or what will be put on the table. Mr. Senna, you had something you wanted to say.
Yes, if you don't mind. I would like to address the bonding of vehicles.
Sure.
So just a quick example. So you have to match the bond with the life of the asset. So let's just say we were going to buy a fire truck that cost $500,000. If we sell bonds 4% on that, in 5 years we pay off the principal and the interest, that vehicle now costs $560,000. And not only that, we get accused of kicking things down the road, and that's what we're doing here. Instead of buying it out of this budget, we're kicking it down the road to after I bond it. Now you're locked in that you have to pay these principal and interest by law. And then what are we going to do, if we did all the capital this year? Guess what? Next year, it's all coming back again. We're going to bond capital every year? Because now eventually you're at the same spot, but now you're paying interest on everything.
Well, I think that where we're ending up anyway is,
But I just wanted you to
Right, I appreciate that,
understand
but
why,
you're not gonna see it.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to, if they were asking for a $1.3 million ladder truck, maybe we can have that discussion, but,
well, I think what you're going to see is very soon, we're going to have an open discussion about the concept,
okay.
because we can't do it tonight anyway. So
But I
that will
just,
be-
we're not just saying no.
Right. No, so I agree.
And another thing too is everyone says, oh, but it's just bonded. Bonding doesn't cost anything. Well, we bonded in September 2025. You know how much that cost? $90,000. We had to pay the financial advisor. You have to pay Moody's for the bond rating. You got to pay the bank. You got to pay the bond counsel. You got to pay to advertise for the sale. So bonding is not free.
Oh, yeah, well, I think we know that. All right, so having said that, oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to say more? Of course.
I completely understand. And professionally, I won't disagree with you, because you're the comptroller and I'm not. I think if we're going to talk about kicking the can, I could pull on that sweater if you want, and we could talk about how much we've kicked the can. And I think the issue that we have right now is that we have a ton of expenditures coming up. Trucks, buildings, people, et cetera. And my only suggestion is taking all of that expense and throwing one municipal bond at it. I understand the lifespan of the cars and all those things and the money that is incurred, but like, if we buy all these things cash, we then put everybody in town on the hook for it this year with the money that we collect from them. And so that my only, again, like, why pay cash when you can borrow? Why borrow when you can pay cash? It's a whole philosophical thing, and I completely, totally understand where you're coming from. I'm not trying to say, like, I know the answers and nobody else does. I'm just suggesting, though, that if, for example, if we have $2.2 million in cap and non, 1.7 comes from electric, 500 we're going to carry over, and Mr. Baltramitis tells us we need $3 million every year to pave, and we're only putting in 1.2, I suggest take everything out of cap and non, bond it if you can, and put all the money that's left, 2.2, 1.7, throw it all at paving. Like, that's just what I would do. So that's what I'm suggesting. I'm not trying to say, like, we could just, bond a $50,000 fire truck, a SUV. I understand that. I just want to point that out in general, that what I'm trying to suggest, and again, when we look at our credit rating and we look at our audit, we don't have the debt that we are allowed to carry. And if we're going to look at how much money we have in the bank compared to other people, we should look at how much debt we have compared to other people, because it's an equal playing field. At the end of the year, we tax our residents, and they pay us money that we use to pay our bills. The way that the state works, it bases it all on property taxes. It's not regional, it's really unfair, and it's disproportionate. So if we're going to tax people, I would just like to try to do it in a way that reduces it over time. It's not kicking the can, it's reducing the burden on people, and an aging population at that. Like, half the reason why we need more firefighters is because we're getting older, and we need more ambulances. So again, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. I'm not trying to disagree, but that's just my opinion on bonding. I think that's something that we need to look into.
Thank you. And that is by no means a tangent, because you have a knack for articulating things far better than I can, and I value that, so thank you. All right, so here we are. At the real reason we're here tonight. Our little review is over, and we're now entering item 4, which is a discussion and possible action on amendments to the Town of Wallingford budget for fiscal year 26-27. I'm sorry? Oh, yes. And I'm open for motions and/or anything from councilors. Councilor Laffin.
May I recommend to the two sides making motions, we could probably just do each line at a time. And it's just, if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then we can amend each one as we go. Some of them overlap, like we already talked about. So I just think if we make it small, it'll be easier instead of trying to like work on. Sometimes we get these thick packages that all have to be.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Actually, my intention was to not accept packages, bundles. No, each item is a motion.
Okay.
Each suggestion is going to be a motion.
And then
That way we can go back and forth and say, well, I want to change that one, and then we can vote on it. So that saves us from saying no to one and yes to another about the same issue.
and then separately, so I have a question.
Sure.
For the fire department, and you referenced that we could ask the departments that were here.
Of course.
So do we start that now, or when we hit those specific items?
Does your question relate directly to what that motion's going to be?
Well, there's a lot of fire department stuff on here, right? So I figured just get them up there so we can narrow down what these are, whether it's
Sure.
multiple positions,
There's no-
one
yeah, we
position,
could-
priority, what's the ambulance review projection, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we can do it any way we'd like. That's the beauty of this. And if it works better for us, it works better. So far, not bad. So, yeah, you want to do that?
There's a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, not about that. I have an unrelated question.
Well, go ahead, fire away.
This might be, Mr. Senna really loves hearing from me lately, but as we go along, are we able to, not to put you on the spot, but kind of keep a tally of the effect? So like I said in the beginning, but like my goal is to get to the zero tax increase. So if basically like we kind of need to keep, and I can do it too, but just if you can double check me, Mr. Senna, if as motions pass or don't pass, if we can kind of keep a running tally of the dollar amount effect of that.
Oh, yes.
Because then
Yes.
that might affect, like, I might leave off a couple of the controversial, what I think are the controversial motions to begin with, and then if we get to the end and we're close to the zero, I might throw them back in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Well, I would say that, yeah, that only makes sense.
Yeah.
But I would not ask, I don't think you're proposing this, I wouldn't ask Mr. Senna to give us the impact for every single motion we make.
No,
No, just keep the running tally.
yeah, and I'll do the same,
Yeah,
but
revenues and
I always
really,
like
it's going to
my
be
math
revenues
checks.
and expenditure line's going to change.
Exactly.
The details will be worked out, but the bottom line, at any given time, maybe we could, get a halftime report or something, but, we'll figure it out.
And that's,
All right.
that's for,
Yeah.
I don't know if even the new counselors were aware, this was even before my time, but the point of this meeting, I think, for, I don't know, maybe, well, you both might have been here before we had the motions meeting. I think the point of this meeting tonight was because you used to have the final budget night.
Yes.
And it would be chaotic because the comptroller's trying to set the mill rate and do the math and everything on the spot. So tonight
Right.
is kind of the night to work through, and then we just finalize it.
Right.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And it had even been suggested to me, well, what if we think about it again and want to make a couple more changes? I mean, you can make the change right up to the moment of adoption.
Yeah.
But I mentioned, if that was the case, I would be inclined to call another special meeting prior to the adoption night, because I don't want to have Mr. Senna have to run back and forth to his office
Yeah.
20 times, you know what I mean? Even several times. I
Yeah.
want him to be able to present to us the overall impact of what we're going to be voting on budget adoption night.
Agreed.
So I think we're all on the same page with a lot of this.
Perfect, thank
At that point, I will open the floor, and you earned the right to go first.
Counselor Laffin, did you want your
Oh.
Well,
idea
Oh, you wanna-
first?
I'm sorry, yes.
well, I figure we might be able to check off or cross off if we just ask the
Without
fire
motions.
department some questions.
Okay,
yeah.
yes. Could we ask the fire department management to come up? Oh, look at, they're leaving you hanging, Chief. You're all by yourself.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. Appreciate the opportunity to discuss any
don't you sit?
additional. Would you like us to sit?
Yeah, well, yes, because I think Councilor Laffin's looking for a discussion. I don't want to have you have to stand there and, it's what we're here for tonight.
And I neglected Jim Buck, Fire Chief.
So Counselor Laffin, you had some questions.
Thank you. Maybe which one I think is the easiest first. Ambulance revenue projection increased by $250,000. Is that doable, or is that?
Well, I'll start with
number?
this. The projection last year was for 2.7 million. We are on target to hit that goal and potentially exceed it. So based on that, we made a projection, if successful with all of our budgetary requests of staffing, that there would be a corresponding increase to 3 million.
Okay.
So it's a pretty significant increase that we baked in this year. And that was also contingent upon the personnel. So that's going to give us, if you recall from the presentation, additional hours of service that we will be, that have that third ambulance on the road. And with the medical safety officers fully staffed, one on each shift, that's also an ALS provider that's rolling in as well, an additional ALS provider. So there's potential for additional billing there. To get to 3.25 million, I can't stand behind that projection, and I do have concerns that it might be a little bit, it's quite possible we would hit it, but I do have concerns that it might be a little ambitious.
If both medical safety officers were granted, does the extra 250 become any easier or no?
I think you get closer to that number.
But still just a little ambitious, a little too ambitious.
Yeah, I didn't have that as part of my proposal.
Okay. I'm going to use you as an example for a minute, if I can, to address the first discussion item, the first proposal, which was the 1% savings for every department. So the fire department's entire budget is $12.5 million. Almost 10.5 of that are our wages. So if we were looking at a 1% decrease, and if you didn't touch wages, you'd be taking $125,000 out of the remaining $2 million, which includes capital expenses, which is 6% of your operating and capital budget. Is that something you think is doable, or would you, as a director, if you can answer this question, lean into a gap in having full staff to glean the 1% off of?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, because I'd heard a couple different iterations of this.
Yeah.
So the 1% would be of the full budgetary amount or the operating only? Okay, so for the full budget amount, yeah, that would be very difficult. I think being able to find, 1% of the operating lines, that's certainly in play, and that's certainly doable. I'm sure it doesn't net the offset or savings you'd be looking for. We do currently, right now, have a few positions unfilled that HR has been working tremendously with us, and we have offer letters out for 4 of our vacant firefighter paramedic positions, and we just concluded the EMT skills assessment. So those positions are actually going to get filled up. So assuming that there would be some gaps, some months throughout a 12-month period of some opening, that's reasonable. I think that typically happens each year, but I couldn't target that amount of money to an opening that doesn't currently exist.
Okay. And then I guess my other question for you would be the positions, if you were ranking them, if you are free to speak as such, with the 2 medical safety officers, a fire inspector. Is that the order in which you would prefer them, or no, I want all of them, no, I can get by without any of them? I know you've said before that we need to get to this point at some point. If it's not now, it's next year. I guess I'm asking you if you could rank that desire.
Thank you for the opportunity to state this, because I did hear a lot of discussion, and I know the council spent a lot of time over the last year with a fire department analysis and study. And as you know, a lot of those positions were indicated. the medical safety officers, from our standpoint, is the most important position to get up to full staff, all 4 shifts. A close second is closing the gap that we have, and it is a gap. So if you're doing a gap analysis, there is a gap on our state mandated inspections. So getting closer on that gap is very important. As an entity, as a combined shared responsibility that we have to public safety, we own that gap, and we're trying to close that gap, and so that gets us there. That is where the highest priority lies.
Okay. And then, do you recall, or can you remind me, how old are the fire marshal vehicles we have now?
Yeah, so the oldest in our fire marshal's fleet is a 2010. That is actually their reserve piece, but they do have to use it occasionally. The 2016 Ford, which is about 10 years old, that is our oldest. And so that vehicle concerns me because that era is really known for losing the turbo and losing transmissions. So we're very close to that occurring. From there, it goes to a 2018. So I heard somebody mention, maybe there would be a phase-in or do it in waves. I actually think that's a very strategic way to look at our needs. It also creates down the road, when you're replacing those vehicles, the new ones, it creates a staggered approach. So I certainly would be appreciative of any funding that we get in that area.
And so that's where I was eventually getting to, is could you do one a year for the next 3 years? One fire marshal vehicle each year, or do you no, I need 2 this time, or?
So if you're saying we'd get 1 fire marshal vehicle this year, we could make that work.
Okay.
I know we can't make future promises. That'll
No,
be
no.
that council's discussions.
Especially,
Right.
yeah, okay. That is it for me. Thanks. Thank you.
Counselor Allenson.
Hi. So, oh my God, it went out of my head. So, my only point, and this is one of the reasons I want to add back, and this is for my fellow counselors as much as it is for you. I would like to add back both inspectors, only because I've heard a lot about businesses trying to open in the town of Wallingford, and there being, not out of fault of their own, I think there's more work than can be done, both on, in fire marshal inspections and building department inspections. I think you guys are doing the best that you can, but I think everyone's running ragged at this point. I think that they are, it's coming to a point where we are going to have more larger builds with affordable housing coming into town. I mean, it's been coming into town, but with all of these builds that are now kind of right on the precipice of starting, I think it would be great if we got both inspectors in so that we can take a tiered and trained approach, like a strategic approach. Even if we did one inspector at the first half of the year, the second inspector at the second half of the year, so that everybody isn't training somebody at the same time. I think that adding both inspectors back to the budget from the mayor's budget would be most favorable to me if I were to ask for anything. It really has to do with, I want Wallingford to be, attractive to businesses. I want to ease the way for people who are making home builds, whatever kind of construction the public or the businesses are doing. I want to remove the roadblocks. And if we are going to have a lot of large developments, large in the scale of Wallingford, right? They're very large for Wallingford, but they're not necessarily large when you compare them to West Hartford or somewhere else. I would say inspectors and the building department are like my three biggest priorities besides the MSOs. I do think that taking a strategic approach with the MSOs, it enables us to fully staff all of the shifts, and it enables us to rely more on our own internal resources and see how we do when we're fully staffed. You know, I mean, I realize that there are always going to be positions that are always going to be open or changing, whatever. But if we need the position, we need the position. We can't not fill a position because we don't think we might fill it. So I think those are the biggest things for me. I appreciate you coming forward about and talking about the costs and the changes in revenue, also the vehicles, a tiered approach. And I really, I kind of take umbrage with the whole 2016 comment because I sold Tom my 2016 Ford. So,
Which we've had problems with.
see, it makes me very upset.
My apologies if I hit a nerve there.
So in any case, I am, I totally appreciate you guys and, thank you. I know we always fill the room with fire department folks, and I do really appreciate seeing you guys come in and be supportive of your department. So thank you very much.
Counselor Carmody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. It's sounding to me like all of us are likely on board with adding the 2 MSO positions back into the budget. And so with that, I just want to follow up. You said you were not comfortable with increasing the revenues by $250,000. I mean, where do you think we could increase it to? 150, 200?
Yeah, I hate to on the fly here without a little
Sure.
bit better analytical information in front of me, but I think somewhere around 3.1 million, fully staffed with the MSOs and the EMTs and all of that. I think that's reasonable, but I'd hate to extend further than that, and I'm sure. My good friend, Mr. Senna, is probably thinking along the same lines. It really is important that we be conservative there. As you heard him,
Sure.
As you heard him earlier, if we over project revenue, that's a pathway to a very slippery slope.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, but you are comfortable saying that there will likely be an increase?
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly an increase with
Okay.
what we've discussed here.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that.
One more, okay.
Sorry. We do use contracted services when we need to, correct? So like, are we using any AMR or yeah, American
And
Medical?
Nelson is
Yeah.
our primary mutual aid resource.
Okay.
And so I hate to play like the politics of fear, if you don't fund this, then, delays will be. Well, it does take longer for mutual aid to come, and this funding, this staffing level will not prevent mutual aid.
Of course.
That always happens as incidents cluster and they're simultaneous. You can get a surge in calls very quickly. We will still have mutual aid. This staffing will reduce our reliance on mutual aid.
That's actually what I was getting to, and I appreciate the response time because I hadn't even factored that in. I hope I don't need mutual aid. But I actually live really close to their garage, so it's fine. In any case, I was thinking, could this offset spending on mutual aid? I wouldn't ask you to project that into budget, but I think that could also be a thought process when we're considering how we move forward, although it seems like you're getting 2 MSOs, so.
Counselor Tata.
Thank you. You look nervous. Good evening, Chiefs.
Good evening.
So just in regards to revenue, because I know we've been talking about this, so if I'm looking at the revenues page 11 of the budget book. So as of January 31st, 2026, you were at, so halfway through the fiscal year, right, you were at 1,691,242. So I'm assuming throughout the course of the year, you're not getting revenues, you're getting revenues frequently throughout the year. It's not like you have one time a year where there's a big chunk coming in.
Correct.
So if we just doubled that, we're at 3,382,000.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing there is that's through 7 months.
Okay, so we
Because
back
it's
off 1
through
month, so
January
divide by
30.
12. Okay.
Right, so if you divide by 7 and double, I think
Yep.
that's where we are.
So we're right at like the 250.
Divide by 7, multiply by
We're actually a
12.
little bit above the 250, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not questioning you or doubting you, but I'm just saying for where I got the 250. That's where I got the 250. So just based, and that's without the additional MSOs, which adds ALS billing, which is at a higher rate. So anyway, that's, and with the 2 AMTs. So I just didn't want to think it was a number I just pulled out of thin air. So I think based on, historical data, the 250 isn't a huge stress.
Okay.
I know in like budget years past, we always hear, over and over, and whether people agree with this or disagree, we overestimate our expenditures and underestimate our revenues. And, this could potentially be a place where
Well,
we maybe did that.
Yeah,
so.
but you've opened the door for, another, a more comprehensive way of looking at this. And maybe we take some baby steps, but we do things differently, and that's what this is supposed to be all about.
Mr. Chair, could I add one thing?
Who's me?
That's me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief.
As we talk about revenues,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of discussion about inspectors. So, as you know, the building department has been discussing some ordinance change, as has the fire department, and specifically the Office of the Fire Marshal. And having those inspectors would help us maybe execute on some of those advanced revenue goals there. The numbers and the percentages are far smaller than the ambulance side, but there could be some potential additional revenue that helps offset there. I would be remiss if I didn't bring that up.
All right, so I'm going to, I'm sorry. Counselor Versace and Counselor Rivard had something they wanted to say.
Hi, Chief.
Good evening.
Just a quick follow-up. Did you say, though, that in this budget and what you projected for revenue was based on the staffing that you asked for? So you had already upped your revenue, your proposed revenue for next year? It was already built into your budget if
Yeah.
you got the staffing?
Yeah, if you look, this is an increase in revenue projection. Our projection last year was, for the current year that we're in, was 2.7 million. Our projection, what we had, submitted to finance was 3 million. So pretty significant increase, but it is baked in with the increase in staffing.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I understood that that's what it was. You already baked it in, and that's why you're saying the 250, an additional 250 would be a little more too ambitious because you had already built in a $300,000 increase.
Yeah, I don't want to go on record saying I project 3.25.
Right, okay.
That certainly would be our goal, and especially if it became part of this package, we would do everything we can for full revenue collection, but there's always a percentage that goes uncollected. As we know, it sits on the books.
Okay, great. I better understand now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Counselor Rivard.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Yeah, and I mentioned up front that, I'm skeptical of, revenue increase type line items because you never really want to miss there. But I might be comfortable myself with 100,000 here versus the 250 based on what the chief said. The only question I think relative to the items that on this list that we didn't touch with questions was Councilor Tata proposed removing the ambulance remount. Do you have thoughts on that, or what kind of impacts that would have to remove that? I mean, my preference up front would be to not do that, but based on my
Well, right now we have an ambulance with 300,000 miles on it that is out of the fleet, really ready for a remount. So it's it's off the road and it's ready for a remount. The box is good. The box is solid. That's the back of the ambulance. It needs the chassis piece. It needs to be mounted, and that's where it refreshes. We do have a fleet. That's more a reserve ambulance at this point in time. So we do have a fleet that's on the road that is meeting our needs. A movement down the road with the ambulance remount we would pivot, we would make that work. So, you know, the funding we get is how we operate, that's what drives operations. So the funding we get is how we then will operate the department.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, and, you know, I know Christina said people are not open to reductions. I think people are. And so, you know, there's offsetting opportunities. We should take them for sure to get to the middle.
Counselor Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to get clarification. And if I'll just do the math for a sec, I think. If we go to 1 truck instead of 3, we adjust the revenue by 100,000. We add 2 med safety, 2 fire inspectors, and we could even throw in 1 firefighter, and that would be 219,000 in the red. So my question is, we've talked about medical safety officers and fire inspectors. What is your need for firefighters outside of those positions? What's the need there?
So the reason I requested 3 was because the town council, I believe it was 3 years ago, added a firefighter. As we've talked about with the medical safety officer, we are 4 shifts. So adding 1 firefighter added 1 to 1 shift. So the 3 would then execute on the remaining, because that was the thought process at that time. And my predecessor had asked for 4, got 1, so this would be a continuation of that. Understanding that, you know, things can take time, then 1 firefighter would build us closer to that 1 per shift. So I certainly am not opposed to that conceptually.
Thank you.
Well, in effect, it not providing at least 1 sort of halts what was expected to be a strategy.
As I reviewed, I wasn't here.
An agreed upon, we'll get you there in 4 years. So we got you started, now we're stopping. That's basically what that says.
So as I reviewed the prior meetings to really, you know, get a good understanding of the evolution of our department's budget, that certainly seemed to be the intent, was to continue adding 1 per year.
Okay. Yes. We all good? All right, I'm going to drive the motions here. So I'm going to ask that any motion, and Councilor Tata, you're up first. No. This is the whole point of what I'm about to say. Any motion that impacts fire, you might as well just wait, because we might have questions for you about that, including your first one. Make your first one, and then if you could go down and just make any motions regarding that would directly impact the fire department, and we'll iron those out right now.
Sure. I think, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to hold off on my first one because
Okay.
let's save that for the end if we need it, because that seems a little controversial. So
Yeah, that's fine. Well, then this should go quickly. Go ahead.
all right, let me just write down my list here. Okay, so I don't think anything under the savings applies to fire.
No.
With the exception of the one that we're holding off on.
Right.
Okay, so under the revenue line, so I'd make a motion that we increase line 46010, ambulance revenue projection by $250,000.
Is there a second? Okay. Any alternative motions on that line? Since we're on that topic, we're doing things differently. Yes, Councilor Rivard.
I'd like to make a motion that we increase ambulance revenue projection by $100,000.
Second.
That's been seconded by Councilor Carmody. Any discussion? So initially proposed 250, countered with 100. We've talked about it at length. Anyone in the public? Roll call vote, please.
Allenson,
Yes.
Carmody,
Yes.
Laffin,
No.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Rivard,
Yes.
Versace,
Yes.
Tata,
Yes.
Testa.
Yes. That motion passes. So our first change is an increase in revenue on line item 46010, ambulance revenue projection by $100,000. Next motion. You be down on your net zero
Yeah,
changes.
be under net zero,
Yeah.
yep. I'm going to make this as one motion. Mr. Chair, I move that we add the 2 medical and safety officer positions and 1 fire inspector position, and remove the ambulance remount, and remove the 3 fire marshal vehicles.
Is there a second? Is there a counter? Go right ahead, Counselor Reynolds.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we add 2 MSO positions, 2 fire inspector positions, 1 firefighter position, and reduce the number of fire marshal vehicles from 3 to 1.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Carmody. Okay, so there's a motion on the table. Any discussion about that? Yes, Counselor Allenson.
I know at this point it's kind of like dollars and small dollars, but would you be open to a friendly amendment to 2 fire marshal vehicles?
Well, you can amend it. You can offer an amendment to.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because I don't want to just make a motion to amend your motion. I thought this was discussion. So,
Well, kind of, yeah, but you can offer a friendly amendment if Counselor Reynolds is agreeable.
I just know what, a 10-year-old vehicle that's being driven all over, and if we increase the number of fire marshals, I think that they will still need that 2010 as their contingent, because they will have 4 people driving 4 cars.
So the requested amendment would be to reduce the fire marshal vehicles
By 1.
Reduce to 1.
Yep.
Reduce 1.
Reduce 1, so
Instead of
2 instead of 3.
Are you good with that?
I'll accept.
Are you good with that as a friendly amendment? Okay, so the motion on the table is to add back into the fire department budget the 2 medical safety officers. What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to look somewhere. Sorry. 2 fire inspectors, 1 firefighter position, and reduce the fire marshal vehicles from 3 to 2. Is that how you read it? Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may.
You may.
So if you're just looking at the fire department page and you just add in the amounts that are on that page, that does not include a pension contribution and health insurance contribution that the town will have to increase in the HR budget. So we have to, if the motion carries, we have to then determine how we're going to calculate those to add them to the HR budget.
That's correct. Can we get an estimate on that? Because we're going to
I
have to
think
put,
I actually have it, because I think I brought it
Well,
up.
22,000 on each.
because we're going to have to put dollar amounts to this
So-
motion.
According to HR, we were 22,000 for each position.
Well, can you,
110,000.
Can I have 2 numbers? One number being what would be the expenditure increase and what would be the revenue?
So salary and wages
Yeah.
would increase by 469,020.
Wait, 469,020?
Yes,
That's just wages?
salaries and wages.
Okay.
And then benefits, we would have to determine the exact lines, but for the purposes of what you're doing now, you would have to increase I would just say benefits by 110,000.
Okay. And then obviously on budget adoption night, we could tweak it with the exact numbers. All right. And then how about reducing the 1 vehicle?
75,000.
75? Very good. What's that? Yeah. Okay, so the motion on the table is to, I don't know if I can reword it, but I'm going to explain it. Maybe it should be reworded this way. The motion on the table is to increase the salary line for the fire department, or do we need to specify the positions as, and then just add the dollar amount to that motion? That might be wiser.
Point of inquiry.
Yes, please.
Can we just make the motion and you'll know to include all necessary items, or do you need the dollar amounts with the account numbers?
Well, if you want to know at the end of the night what the impact is, I need the dollar amounts.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, so all right, in this case, all right. So perhaps you could just
Oh,
amend your motion to say, after you identified all the positions,
Okay.
say 469,020 in the salary line, 110 in the benefits line, and then reduce the vehicle for 75,000.
Could I just, so could I make a motion that we instate, or we add 2 med safety officers at $96,401 apiece, or do you want the total amount total?
You can do it either way, but that's, I mean, if you add those up, that's where I got that number.
Yeah, I just didn't want, I don't want to give like 462 and then have it be off by like $8. So I was just going to do it this way. All right.
For right now, it would be easier to just do the total.
Yeah,
If someone wants to just check my math real quick, but.
Okay, I have a total amount for the 5 positions at $469,020 with an approximate increase with the benefits to $110,000 added to that total. And the reduction in the fire marshal vehicles is $75,000. 1 vehicle less is $75,000.
And can you're adjusting the motion accordingly? Okay. So we're all on the same page, we're voting on this. What? No, people are going to talk. We're voting to increase the fire department budget by 5 positions, 2 medical safety officers, 2 fire inspectors, 1 firefighter, and reduce the fire marshal vehicles by 1. That is what we're going to be voting on. Counselor Tata.
Thank you. So, a couple questions. I think, I could be wrong, but from what I'm hearing, I think there might be some confusion between fire marshals and fire inspectors. Can you speak to that? Because I've heard it used interchangeably, and it's not interchangeable.
Yes, so all the members you just mentioned would work out of the office of the fire marshal. The fire inspectors are code enforcement specialists, and they would be focused on the inspections. As you know, part of what we've discussed in the past is the percentage of mandated inspections that we're able to complete in a given year. Our experience is not unlike others. But yeah, the fire inspectors work out of the fire marshal's office, but they are certified to the fire code and inspection level.
Okay, so we currently have a fire marshal and 2 deputy fire marshals. So this motion adds 2 fire inspectors to that.
Correct.
The office has been running with 2 for some time, correct? For about how long?
Yeah, so we've had an outage in that division, and so their normal allotted number of 3. They haven't been at full strength for a number of months.
Okay. And how has that affected the numbers as far as the inspections?
Well, it certainly reduces their total number of hours available to complete inspections, as well as all the other duties that they have. Investigations, complaints, other follow-ups, plan review. They have a pretty busy office.
Sure, yeah. The fire inspectors that are being added, were those added, because I know we talked about the numbers and being below the numbers, and then when the study came, the study kind of said I think it was 53%, but that was kind of on par for the state, which, not that that's anything you want to strive to be on par with, but I just want to make sure that the new fire inspectors, that is not taking into account the fact that we've been operating with 2. So in other words, if we're operating at full capacity with the 3, the fire marshal and 2 deputies, you're still advocating for 2 new inspectors on top of the 3 if you're fully staffed, correct?
Yeah, that was my department request.
Okay.
I think there's one thing I wouldn't mind adding, and one of you broached the topic, which was onboarding staff. And this is an issue both on the fire rescue side, but certainly in that office as well. And I'd heard somebody mention maybe the concept of 1 to start and then maybe 1 later in the year. I'll be perfectly frank with you, especially with that department right now at 2, that would not be a bad approach for that office to be able to onboard 1 and then onboard somebody new 6 months later.
Okay, thank you. In which case, that would only need a half a year of funding for this year, and then in the next budget year would require the full. I'm leery about that only because of what happened with the MSOs last year, because we had a similar plan that didn't pan out. All right, so that brings me to the vehicles. So if we get the 2 fire inspectors, then what do they drive? Do now we need 2 additional vehicles?
Well, we certainly would need to dip into our spare vehicles for them to be operating.
Okay, so the potential would be, and I don't know if this is the plan or not, but would they potentially, let's say we get the fire marshal new vehicles and the 2 new inspectors are added, now we're gonna probably be looking at capital next year for vehicles for them, or they would be using, maybe they would be using the ones that we're gonna take offline now for, if the fire marshal's got the new vehicles, what's the plan with that?
Any vehicles less than 3 that you get this year, you can be fairly safe to assume you will see them in a proposal next year.
Okay. Fair enough, all right. But there is no proposal in the current budget for fire inspector vehicles, correct? If you were to get the 2 fire
Not
inspectors.
specifically fire inspector vehicals,
Okay.
but these vehicles would be part of the fleet of vehicles available to the Office of the Fire Marshal.
Sure, thank you. I just want to make sure we were all on the same page as far as the marshals versus the inspectors and who was getting the vehicles. So, okay, thank you so much, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. My understanding is the fire marshal vehicles that are being requested are, so when a fire marshal responds to an incident and their equipment is now exposed to contaminants, that they are now able to put all that stuff away from where they sit. The passenger compartment. I have a hard time with words sometimes. That was my understanding. So fire inspectors typically are just need something to drive to the places they're inspecting.
Right. So
Right?
Right. A fire
Yeah.
inspector could ultimately be called upon to do investigations, but that's not their primary function. Therefore, that normal
Right.
usage of their gear being
Right.
co-located with themselves, which has been identified as a possible carcinogen source.
Right.
That becomes less in play with them.
But
Correct.
having 2 vehicles that are appropriate for incident responses is probably going to carry you pretty well for now. Okay. Yes, Councilor Allenson.
Just for everyone's satisfaction over here, I did calculate based off of what Mr. Hutt sent us this week, the approximate benefits, including the pension contribution, Medicare, et cetera, and then the contribution to health benefits will be about 32%. It's about 31.8. So I just did the rough math using the Excel feature, and this would increase, so just the salary increase for these 5 positions, the total would be $491,725. No, not just for benefits, including the salary. I took the salary off of the lines from the budget. So just, if we want just the benefit amounts, I will happily give you that as well, which is $119,206.
You're saying that these 5 positions would be 490 something?
491-ish.
Okay, where did we get the 469 to? Where did we get the 469,020? Whoever made that?
The 469 are the salaries of those 5 positions.
Yeah, where's the 497?
Sorry, math.
So what's the percentage that you want to tack to the salary? And I'll
I'm not,
do it.
it's not the percentage, it is, I didn't put a ×2 on the MSOs. So Mr. Senna, of course, is right. 618,000 is the total, including benefits. The benefits total is 150,000.
100 and what?
50,000.
He said 110, so you say 150.
I mean, I
And
calculated
you
it
got that
off
from,
of,
off of what
Mr. Hutt's
Mr. Hutt
email.
said?
so.
Mr. Senna, does that seem reasonable? That the benefit?
So I don't have what Mr. Hutt sent. I went by what he whispered in my ear earlier, but if that's what that's, I would go with the higher number, the 150.
Okay, so again, Mr. Counselor Reynolds, we increase that 110 number to 150? What? You good? You have to say yes.
So the total now is 150 for benefits on top of the 469.
469,020, correct, because it's in the motion.
Got it.
Second is good? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I mean, you're suggesting that the item, they're sharing the cost, but you're disagreeing it may be that?
Well, in the spirit of Counselor Tata trying to get to zero, and us saying we were just basically trying to go add stuff and not add anything to the cost, I'm just trying to think out loud, or at least I'm thinking one fire marshal truck. And then I think the people and the benefits, and then the offset of one truck versus 2 still allows us to play within the realm of surplus. If we start adding and adding and adding, I think we go out of surplus, and then I'm not interested in putting 1.9 million in salaries and stuff into so anyway.
So you're thinking if you amend your motion to add 40,000 to the benefits line of the 5 positions, you will now want to also amend it to reduce the fire marshal vehicles by 1 more.
That's how I feel, but I don't know how other.
Well, that's your motion, so.
Well, Councilor Laffin has a question.
My take was if we're going to hire 2 inspectors, then you need 2 trucks. Or you're going to use the 2010 vehicle that you don't want to use.
I think they're using it either way.
Yes.
It's getting used either way?
It's going to need to be used.
The 2010 vehicle?
Correct.
Even if we give you the 2 trucks now?
If we get the 2, we'll realign, and we would only use the 2010
As a reserve
when there's a
again.
vehicle that's out for repairs
Right.
or has other
Okay.
issues. Correct.
So if you only get 1 truck, then you're definitely using the 210 vehicle all the time?
Right, so with two inspectors,
Right.
right, one, that would bring the 2010.
Unless we
into play.
eliminated a truck and an inspector. So they don't run into that problem, but
Sounds like a mafia discussion.
this is politics.
You want to clarify your motion? You're forgetting about the vehicle?
Well, I think we can vote on the motion, and if people don't like it, then somebody else can come up with a better idea.
So you are amending it to reduce another vehicle, or not?
I'll leave it as is.
Oh, leave it as is?
Yep.
So the only change is
The
to
40
go from 110 to 150 on the benefits line, maintain reducing only 1 vehicle by 75. So that's still where we are, just a minor change in the benefits line. Yes, Counselor Tata. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get so loud, I got close. That did not reflect anything other than me getting too
You're
close.
done with me this budget season. Can we get the dollar amount of this motion before we vote? Because obviously, I'm, like I said, my initial motion was certainly supportive of the 2 MSOs and the 1 fire inspector. But obviously, my overarching goal for the budget is to get to the 0, and this is getting to be a massive dollar amount, and I'm not sure where that money's coming from, which then might potentially put my initial motion that nobody really liked back on the table. So, and then we have to ask questions again because now we have to find out where the 1% is coming
The net
from.
effect of this motion is positive 544,200.
544.
544,020.
That's
going to be increasing the expenditure
the
line of the
positions,
budget.
the benefits, the vehicles,
Yes.
everything.
Adding the position, the
$544,000.
benefits, taking out the truck.
And we have not identified where we're getting that quite yet.
Oh, we know where we're getting it.
Motion.
We're going to be getting it from the increase from the revenue fund. You know that.
What was your idea?
All right, well, now-
Eventually, we are.
so now I'm gonna,
Yeah.
now I'm in a spot because
Yeah.
we're voting on this before we know if we can fund it, which for me is,
No, we're going to.
Well, it's how, we're going to, it's up to whoever's doing this to, to make
Yeah.
that. All right, any other questions on this one? Okay, any comments from the public? Yes.
Good evening, Council. Shock Page, President, Wallingford Firefighters 1326. Thank you for the thoughtful discussion. I just want to say the quiet part out loud so you guys can, when you make your decisions. Currently, we are at 50, this is all from the annual report submitted by the Fire Marshal for 2025. We are currently at 53% compliance with state statute. It's a mandate, it's not a request, it's not a you could. It's a mandate. Question was brought up about inspections. So this is data from January 1 to April 30th, comparing 2025 to 2026. In 2025, inspections and re-inspections for that roughly 4-month period, we did 948. This year, for the same time period, 693. So that's a 27% decrease on inspections and re-inspections. And that goes with what Chief Buck said, we're down 1. Operational tasks, that includes everything from plan reviews to consults to complaints to all that stuff. In the same time period, 2025, we did 11. In 2026, we're at 45 already. That's an 86% increase. Permits, we did none in that time period in 2025. 2026, we're at 10. That's a roughly 1,000% increase. Fire explosion responses, this is a 3-year data, so we show year over year. In 2023, there were 28 responses. In 2024, there were 53. In 2025, there were 74. That's a 45% increase from 23 to 24, and a 31% increase from 24 to 25. Also of importance, it was mentioned, since 1999, every fire marshal has said we are at operational capacity. 5 decades, the marshal's office has not grown. It's not our job to say what risk or liability you're willing to take, but we just want to put it out there. 4 fire marshals have all come in and said additional staffing is needed. So I want that to, if you guys can consider that. I appreciate everybody who's talking about 2 inspectors. I do support what Chief Buck said, being that we would have to train them, 1 now, or July 1, 1 6 months later, I think would be the most effective way to train somebody and get them up and running. As for the vehicles, it's personal. The current vehicles we have, they run, but we are sitting in a vehicle exposed to our gear, to our investigation tools, to everything else. We do a good job cleaning it, but the whole concept is clean cab, and that's to reduce our risk. Another thing that's not talked about, but cancer is prevalent in the fire service. Everybody knows about the cancer risk for firefighters, but nobody looks for fire investigators. Their risk is actually higher because we're exposed to this stuff for far longer. So the vehicles are important. It gives us a safer work environment. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council, and I will now call for a roll call vote.
Allenson,
Just to be clear, 2 MSOs, 2 fire inspectors, 1 fireman, and reduce 1 vehicle. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Sorry, the 2 got tossed out there. Yes.
Okay.
Carmody,
Yes.
Laffin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Brevard,
Yes.
Versace,
Yes.
Tata,
Yes.
Testa.
Yes, unanimous. Okay. Got your extra people and good things.
Thank you.
And you might want to stick around for what might happen later, but you don't really need to, but you can certainly go sit.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for all being here, and thanks for all you're doing. Okay, so now, Councilor Tata, where do you want to go? You want to take on the contingency one?
Yeah, you know what, why don't
You
we,
just do what you want. Good.
yeah, let's,
Or stick with increased revenue ones.
yeah, let's go there.
All right.
Because then they'll give us a better idea of what we're working with.
Perhaps
right,
the police,
so-
police chief might want to come up?
You want me to make the motion and then, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Just giving them the heads up.
sure.
He was here.
Oh, they're not here?
He was.
We'll give it a minute.
I'll go to the next one, how about that?
Building revenue?
Want to do that one next? Okay, so I move that we increase the revenue line 42085, building revenues by $235,000 plus $75,000.
Okay, so,
It's in two parts for the reason I explained before.
right, but the total number is going to be
310,
310, right?
310, yep.
Okay. The building department here? Along with the administration, what would your response to this be? Just identify yourself, please.
Oh, was there a second?
Oh, I'm sorry, was there a second? Oh,
If not, he can just go home, I mean.
well, not necessarily. You want a second or you want to change it? Well, all right, there's no second. Is there a counter on that one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Oh my God, I have to pull my email, sorry. 1 second. I did this a while ago, so. All right, so I am making a motion to increase building building department's revenue projection by 75,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second's been made. Discussion. What would your feelings be about that?
So I'm Lou Capola, Chief Building Official,
Thank you.
and I'm in agreement with that. I actually would support actually increasing our fees. We are currently, I know at the budget, I originally mentioned $1 increase, but I also did some research with some of our neighboring towns, and I feel that a $2 increase, so we have currently our minimum fees are $28. I would propose to increase that to $30, which is completely in line with our neighboring towns. And also our additional fees on top of that. Currently, we are 14. I would propose $16, and that would keep us in line with our neighbors. So that's actually increasing our revenue even more.
So you'd be comfortable with $75,000 increased revenue?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry it took so long to say that.
No, you know that was helpful. Thank you. Councilor Brevard.
Good evening. Thank you for the confirmation of the 75 that we discussed previously. I think what you said, you'd be comfortable doubling that increase. So does that mean you're comfortable with 150K
Yes.
increase to revenue?
Yes.
And then you mentioned an alternate fee structure as well. Was that incremental? Meaning, what's the number of increase you'd be comfortable with, I guess, at this point? I think 150 for sure.
150 for sure, yes.
Eh.
If we were to increase two additional dollars.
Okay. I was just trying to understand.
Okay, Councilor Allenson.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said rental. It's the first day with my new ears. So I actually did the math out on this, and according to the projections, and I do actually agree with Mr. Capola, that 150 according to right now's, if we were to go by the permits that the number of permits for, and the number of dollars that we have supplied in the past 2 years, and then taken the net of the two, 150 is about what we would be at. However, like an increase. However, I think that it sometimes takes us a lot of time to pass ordinances. So my cautionary tale there is if we are not able to pass that in a relatively timely manner, we're trying to get it for June. Don't look at me like that. We're hoping to get it on for June. We're gonna meet with the law department about it. But I am super supportive of this, and if the department head says 150, I'm happy to amend my motion. I was just being cautious because of the possible timing.
So you're amending your motion to make it 150?
Correct.
And the second?
Second?
Okay. Counselor Laffin?
So, Ordinance Chair Reynolds, does that seem doable agenda-wise
To get it on the agenda, for sure.
to get on the agenda and then completed by June?
No, we get it, as long as we're completed by July, we're fine. Right? As long as we have it for July when the budget kicks in.
We will meet in June, and I can say this will be on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
And it makes no sense to make the budget change and not approve an ordinance to to effectuate it.
We've done sillier things, so.
That was a good word. Any other comments? Public? Roll call vote.
Allenson,
Yes.
Carmody,
Yes.
Laffin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Brevard,
Yes.
Versace,
Yes.
Tata,
Yes.
Testa.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. What do you have?
All right. Next up on revenues, I believe I saw Chief Venture. Oh, there he is. I move that we increase line 46020, Police Department revenues by $275,000.
Is there a second? For the purpose of discussion.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for the purpose of discussion, to match the prior fiscal year. Thank you.
Good evening,
Good
Chief.
evening. How are we?
Good. So I guess you're going to be out in front of East Center Market shaking a can based on this. You got to keep it light.
I like it.
Yeah. Anyway, how do you feel about this?
So I would have to defer to the comptroller on this because it's not as simple as just increasing the revenue line because it's a complicated line.
So the way this is budgeted, there's the revenue and then there's the expense offset. So we try to keep those in line. So increasing the revenue now, he's going to wind up needing money in an overtime account later, and then we're not going to have any place to get it from without the revenue offset, or else it's going to have to come from contingency, but it sounds like we're not going to have any. But, that number comes from the chief, and it's supposed to be in unison with that expenditure line item, so I would not recommend increasing that.
And as far as our revenue goes, revenue generated from the police department, cruiser rental, so every road job, it's $25 an hour for the cars. So you generate upwards of 120 to sometimes 200,000. It's dynamic though, right? So it's dependent upon who's hiring us, what road job projects are going down. So right now we have some decent, road work going on Washington Street, and Tully's is going down on Monday, which will be interesting. So that will generate cruiser revenue, but once those stop, you can't really predict. Parking tickets, it's not a lot because our parking ticket numbers, you're getting a $10 ticket for some of the offenses, so it's not really generating that much revenue. And then raffles, bazaars, and other fees that we charge to do that work through the records division is a menial amount of money.
Anyone else? Yes, Counselor Tata.
Okay, hi, Chief. So my question is, I'm not who this is for, but why the big discrepancy from the last fiscal year to this? So the fiscal year ended 6/30 was 1,061,540, but now we're proposing for this year 782,500. So why that drastic change? And that was why I increased.
So really, it's just an estimate of what we have coming in. So we took our best, educated guess at what our numbers should be and then put it down. And then we work with the finance department throughout the year to kind of get that number dialed in if we need more money or less. I mean, so I don't know where we are. We're okay right now, but eventually we would ask for an increase. It's just we pay our officers up front, so that's really what that account is for. So we kind of, for the budget this year, we took a stab at a number. We think we're comfortable getting somewhere close to it, but we usually have to adjust, about this time, May, June, before we go into the next fiscal.
So that's kind of, I mean, that agrees with exactly what I was saying. So we make an estimate, but then historically, if we look back, the estimate seems to always be low. All right.
And we have, to clarify too, so there's that overtime line. For our overtime, it's very different, right? So there's 3 types of overtime. There's department overtime for basically patrol fills or something that has to do with your daily shift. There's department overtime as it relates to town events. So we pay for the Memorial Day Parade, 250th, 4th of July, Frosty Parade, all that comes out of our overtime budget. And then there's the extra duty line, which is road jobs. That which is not paid by the department.
So, but when you make that adjustment, the adjustment is not to increase revenues.
Correct, it's just to increase the number so we're comfortable that we have enough money to pay our officers when they work extra duty. Because, a job like Eversource, they may have a $300,000 or $400,000 bill that you're not paying right off the bat. So we have someone in our office that does their collections. Okay. And, depending upon the company, sometimes they're very efficient in payment and sometimes they're not.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
So if the goal of increasing these projected revenues is to reduce the amount we have to tax, this is a line where it doesn't work.
Right.
What we
I'm
project to collect in revenues isn't going to go anywhere else but then to pay the police overtime that the contractors are paying into this budget line for that purpose. So if the goal is to reduce what we have to consider to be tax revenue, this line should have no effect because what we collect goes right to pay the overtime.
Yeah, and that was going to be the gist of my comment. In effect, how much of the 782.5 does not carry an expenditure with it? In other words, how do you generate revenue other than what we're talking about? Tickets?
So infractions issued by our officers goes directly to the state. They change the pay
Right.
scale. So the only thing that we get is.
So you literally don't generate revenue.
Correct.
You
The
have
only
a
way that
revenue-
we would generate revenue, and I know it's a conversation outside of this, is that if you installed speed cameras, red light cameras, that revenue goes to the town.
All right.
That's the only way that
General, when we-
that's the only way that we could generate numbers that high, and that's a topic that is,
Right.
for another day.
But it's not happening right now.
No, absolutely
Okay.
not.
So revenue in your line has to do with being compensated for expenses we've already put out.
Correct. So we do generate cruiser rental, and that is the bread and butter as far as what we bring in.
Got it. Okay. Oh, yes.
Donations, would that go to the revenues line or that would go directly to the line that?
Donations have their own donations account. So K-9 has their own account, and
Goes
then
to
any
whatever
general
line you're using the
donations.
donation for?
Correct.
Thank you.
This line is specifically for the road jobs.
Got it.
That's the only revenue that goes in here.
Okay. No thank. Anyone from the public? Okay. Vote, please.
Allenson?
No.
Carmody?
Mr. Chairman, was there a second?
There was.
Thank you.
Yes, that's why we were discussing it, yes. But thank you for asking.
Laffin,
No.
Reynolds,
No.
Brevard,
No.
Versace,
No.
Tata,
I don't know. I'm going to say yes, I still have questions.
Testa.
No. All right, that failed. So you want to take on the interest on investments?
Sure.
Go
All
ahead.
right. So I move that we increase line 44010, interest on investments by $60,000.
Is there a second?
Second?
And the rationale behind this one was, again, if we look at the current year, we were underestimated this year.
And Mr. Senna, your response to that?
What are you looking at that we're under?
Line 44010.
So you're looking at January? So
Well, no, well,
the way, I mean, I can go upstairs right now and see where we're tracking, but I'm tracking us as almost dead on or not meeting it.
so the fiscal.
And I went with the same number, which I thought was kind of high, because they've been lowering interest rates, and, you know, they've been threatening to keep lowering it. So I don't feel comfortable going higher than the number that we're at.
So I'm looking at the fiscal year. The fiscal year ended 6/30/25. We ended up with $3,081,697, and I believe in the mayor's cover letter, if I can find it, that it also mentioned how we ended up making more money in investments that we had anticipated.
So you're looking at 18 months ago when interest rates were higher. So that we did do better than that year's budget, but that's not the environment we're in right now.
So if we look back historically over the past, say, 5 years, we haven't underestimated that?
There's been some years, it's all revenue numbers are an estimate. But you got to look, it all depends, you're talking about interest rates that are.
Correct.
That are governed. So you have to, when you're trying to do a projection, you got to look at the current environment, and the current environment is showing rates going down, not up.
But you accounted for that. So I'm looking historically, and I think $60,000 is not, if we look over the past 5 years, it's not far off the mark. That's just what I'm looking at. So you're asking what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the historical numbers. So, I mean, you know, the council can agree or disagree, but that's where it's coming from.
Okay, it's a pretty simple one. Anyone want to say anything, or are we ready to vote? Call a vote, please. Wait, I'm sorry, anyone from the public? Well done. Can I have a vote, please?
Allenson,
No.
Carmody,
No.
Laffin,
No.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Brevard,
No.
Versace,
Yes.
Tata,
Yes.
Testa.
No. I believe it fails. Okay. So a little quick check on things. So far, we've added 100,000 to revenue from ambulance, added 75 addition through subtraction by the truck, added 150 building revenues, and that's it for revenues. And we've reduced, we've added to revenues that amount, and we've added to expenditures 469 and 150. That's where we are right now.
If you don't mind, we're at a net increase, including the benefits.
I did.
Yep, we're at a net increase currently, including all of those numbers, of 293,974.
Where are you?
So if you take the revenues that we have added and you subtract the positions that we have added,
Oh,
that's where we
you're giving the
stand.
bottom line
We're
number.
still, I'm giving the bottom line
Oh,
number.
yes, okay.
Because that's where we need to make up if we're going to be thinking about making up.
right, thank you. I'm just giving what we've done on both sides just for a checkup.
Yep.
Yes, Mr. Senna.
So just, you've increased revenue by 250, and you've increased expenditures by 544,020.
But I'm considering I'm just looking at where the reduction in expenditures as a revenue, just for the plus and minus calculation at the end, for the end of the night. That's instead of a third category. Okay, Counselor Chadi, do you have more?
All right, I'll go to the very bottom one now.
Yes.
So I move that we fund $5,000 to the Wallingford Yalesville Little League. We fund $5,000 to Golden Fox Theater, and we decrease line 58201, community grants and the Youth and Social Services budget by $10,000 for a net effect of zero.
Do I have a second? Okay, no second. Do I have a counter?
I just want to have some discussion.
Well, then you second it.
Okay, second.
No, we need motions to have discussions at this stage.
I'll make a counter motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we fund $5,000 to Wallingford Yalesville Little League. And that's all.
Second.
Discussion on that. Anyone want to make any amendments to that?
Melanie wants to speak.
What's that?
Melanie wants to.
Yes, Melanie. I'm sorry. Counselor Risacci.
So I just want to have some discussion. I don't see Wallingford Center Inc. here, so maybe Mr. Center or the mayor can answer this. I know on the social service budget, they actually have 4 different line items. So one at 160, one at 28, and 2 at 25. I wanted to know if there's a way where we can move 10K out of that budget, or actually, I'm sorry, it would be moving 8K out of there and potentially 2K out of the increase for the John Nurden RTC camp, knowing that potentially we may be able to make them whole later based on the dollars that we're going to get from the state. Right now, it's estimated that we would get $696 from the state for the ECS grant and the municipal grant. And if we are going to make education whole and do their strategic grant, that is $601,000, which still leaves $96,000 that could be allocated potentially to social services. And so ultimately, we would be able to make them whole again and still fund Little League and Fox Theater.
So why don't you hold that, and that's going to be a new motion.
Okay.
Like, that would be a motion you can make, and we can discuss all of that. So since you already mentioned the theater, you have an idea, why don't we vote straight on the $5,000 for Wallingford Yalesville Little League? Any questions, any comments from the public? Okay. Just for the public's knowledge, over many, many years, there were 2 different Little Leagues, Wallingford and Yalesville, and historically, each received $3,000. Now that they are a combined Little League, they were requesting $5,000 as a combined unit. So that's where we're at. Can I get a roll call, please?
Allenson?
Yes.
Carmody?
Yes.
Laffin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Rivard?
Yes.
Risacci?
Yes.
Tata?
Yes.
Testa?
Yes, and at this point, since you're talking about the same type of things, I'm going to, at this moment, if you don't mind, I'm going to call on Councilor Risacci to make a motion in those departments.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to fund $5,000 to Golden Fox Theater and reduce Wallingford Center, Inc., $160,000 line item to $155,000.
Second.
What's that dollar amount? The reduction for Wallingford Center?
$5,000.
It's $5,000, okay. So reduce the line item for Wallingford Center Inc. by $5,000.
Yes.
Okay. Any second?
I seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay, discussion.
So this, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
So this one's a zero sum. 5,000 to the theater, 5,000 away from WCI. Yes, Counselor Laffin.
I read Golden Fox's proposal to the mayor because he sent it to us. And I didn't see a community or social service contribution aside from we won't charge Wallingford people. So are enough Wallingford participants participating for $5,000 enough to, are enough people going to benefit versus all of the work that WCI does? I think they're separate issues. I'm not for either, but I am 100% then against it because it's paired with taken away from WCI. Just having been involved for all the decades that I have been, I see how much they do and how much they make such little amount go so far. I'd hate to hamstring them further. And when you go to these events, the block parties, all of it, the community comes out, so many people enjoy it, and to make that a little more difficult when we seem to be kind of getting everybody out and enjoying everything. So I'm against it for all those reasons. But.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm just going
Mr. Carmody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to echo Councilor Laffin's sentiments. I think Wallingford Center Incorporated does a phenomenal job promoting and enhancing our downtown, which is, I just think, is vitally important for our community. I can't support reducing their budget.
Councilor Rivard.
It's more of a general comment over the, I'll call them kind of nonprofit contributions. Separate from this particular one, I'll vote how I feel comfortable. I do think, based on how things went this year, I think we need to collectively think about if there's a way we can do this, a little more fairly across the board. And the only thing I understand funding groups of the past because they've got demonstrated performance, but I also think we don't want to necessarily lock out potential nonprofits of the future that might be doing good work. And I think the way to do that is to, as much as we can, make a level playing field. And then we want to try not to make these organizations who are outstanding, doing good work, feel like we're playing favorites. And that's, I'm personally committed to help working that for the next cycle in any way that I can. And I'll, boot and suspenders work on process if anyone wants to, think about that in the administration's office as well. So because of that aspect of this, I personally had made a decision not to play with these because I don't have a better answer than what the mayor presented us. The 5,000 for the Little League was a little bit odd in how that came through the Parks and Rec budget, and how that played out, and I felt very uncomfortable with that particular one, which is why I voted in favor. But I think I'm probably not going to, support moving around these myself. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. Yes, sir. The 160,000 WCI budget is largely, it's their operating money for the most part. These three smaller lines that were mentioned are programs. They're facade improvement programs. They're grants to businesses that are specifically dedicated to certain things. I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you.
Councilor Versace.
So to be clear, to reduce them by 5,000 still gives them an increase of 3,000 over last year. And also, I'm also anticipating that we would be able to give them some dollars back through the additional municipal aid that we will be getting from the state, which is approximately right now estimated at 170,000.
If I may.
Yes.
This is like the fourth different number I've heard about what we might be getting back
Well,
from the state.
I'm looking at their line item, and they were 142 current year. This year, 160. So to reduce, you said 5,000.
To reduce 5,000 would still give them an increase of 3.
13.
Oh.
That's expended so far.
Right?
Yes, sorry, you're correct.
It would be
13,
155, and so that would be an increase of 13,000, still be an increase of $13,000, just for clarification.
Point of order, that's expended so far.
No, I thought, I was looking at the appropriated. The total appropriated was 142.
And the line before that says 142 as well, under expended from January 31st.
They've spent 130. Oh, the original. Oh, it looks like they've expended their whole budget. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 142 is what they spent. This year, they were going to get 160. The proposal on the table is to give them 155 instead, and to give 10 to the Golden Fox Theater. That's the motion on the table?
And just one more, knowing that whether the number is correct or not, I'm sure that it's not going to be less than $5,000 for municipal aid. I know there's been some variation in potentially what the municipal aid will be, but it will be some substantial amount, and we would be able to then make them whole.
Well, if that's the argument, then we could just wait until we get the municipal aid, so we're sure.
One could look at it that way. Okay, anyone from the public? I'll take a vote.
Allenson?
No.
Carmody?
No.
Laffin?
No.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Rivard?
No.
Versace?
Yes.
Tata?
Yes.
Testa?
No. I'll welcome, that fails. I'll welcome an alternative.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to fund $5,000 to Golden Fox Theater.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and we've already discussed it. So, any more discussion on this one? Public? Okay, vote please.
Allenson?
No.
Carmody?
Yes.
Laffin?
No.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Rivard?
No.
Versace?
Yes.
Tata?
Yes.
Testa?
Yes. I think that passed. Okay, so there we go with that one. So I think on the bottom of your form, we've addressed everything, unless you still want to make a motion to decrease line 58201, because that was a separate organization, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it not?
Yeah, it was, but I'm not going to reduce that just for the sake of reducing.
Okay.
I think if we were going to use that for the others, but yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you, though.
Very good. Okay, now you have a couple of more things along the top of your pile.
I do. All right. I'm going to try to do the easy ones first. Let's see what I think. Let me see what I think are the easy ones. All right. So I move that we,
Can I offer a suggestion?
You may do whatever you want. Yes.
So, everything you have is included in the mayor's proposal. Should we just do that as one lump?
it's not all included.
No, not
all
the
of
work
it.
study, the risk management.
No, I'm sorry. The mayor's proposed changes or requested changes are all included within your bottom proposals.
Plow, dump truck, and the
building department
building
typo.
department.
Yeah.
So that could be separate, or you can just do it now and let's get it
Yeah,
done.
Oh, so you're saying move the mayor's
Yeah.
amendments as opposed to moving mine separately?
Right, just do it as one lump.
Yeah, somebody can do that if they want. It's just the two, right?
Basically, yeah.
It's just two changes. Well, Mr. Chairman, what's cleaner, to do mine or just to move the mayor's?
His numbers are supposed
I
Well,
move,
I guess-
I move to include the mayor's proposal to change the plow dump truck to the loader and correct the building department typo as written.
Second?
Okay, and what this effectively does is reduce $75,000.
Yeah, I just want to look at the mayor's, did that come in today?
No, it effectively reduces 65,400.
Well, we had round numbers. I'm sorry, I was looking at Counselor Tata's form.
That's why I suggested that.
Yeah, I'd like to,
What was it?
as proposed by the mayor.
How much?
65,400.
Thank you. So that's a revenue as far as I'm concerned.
Wait a minute, hang on, my numbers are different.
Right.
Okay, did you want to?
Well, I don't, something's not the same then, because I have $75,000 in savings, and this shows 65,400.
Right.
Because there was, for the plow dump truck, you got to add 10,000 because there's not going to be a trade for that. So there was a mix-up with, so you were using 325 for the plow dump truck, and it's really going to cost 335 because we took the trade out of it.
So what are we doing with it?
I think everyone, we'll either try to sell it or we'll use it. We think we think we can probably get more for it than trading it in. Or we can keep it. I mean, that was part of the discussion they had. So he submitted the capital, he submitted two different things. So we're just pretty much correcting an error there.
Okay.
We believe the truck's going to cost $335. And to fix the typo is $25,400.
Okay, all right, so it's a little bit less, okay, so it's a little bit less than mine dollars-wise because of that.
Right.
That $10,000, the trade, okay.
Okay. All good on this? Public? Okay, vote, please.
Allenson,
Sorry.
Wait.
There's another thing on there, though, too. The decrease building telephone, 25,400. Are we voting on that, too, if we're voting on the
No,
mayor's
that's the
entire
cor-
package here?
That's the correction.
That's your
That's the
last.
typo.
That's your last.
That's the
item.
typo.
You have
Oh, okay, and then
25,000,
you're
it's
decreasing the
25,400.
loader and then increasing, okay, I see. Sorry.
So it's 25,400?
The total amount of the motion is a reduction in
65,400.
I appreciate it, thank
65,400.
you. I'm just tracking it.
Yeah.
So is
Okay. Can I have a vote, please?
Allenson,
Yes.
Carmody,
Yes.
Laffin,
yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Rivard,
Yes.
Versace,
Yes.
Tata,
Yes.
Testa.
Yes. Okay. Did you want to go after those two things on top?
No, I'm going to go to the low dollar amount one. I move that we eliminate the work study position for a net savings of $7,000, which is on page 16.
I have a second? Okay, that didn't work. Next.
I move that we eliminate the new assistant risk manager position which, the line is 119,189 plus benefits.
Is there a second for that? Hearing no second, that's off.
All right, I'll go for the first two you suggested. So I move that we, do you want me to do these two? Well, let me do them together. I move that we add back $1.9 million surplus from the most recent audit and increase the reserve spending by $1 million. Let me make that cleaner. So I move that we increase the amount of reserves used to $11.9 million.
That would be the right way to
Yeah.
do it, yes.
But you all see what the rationale is.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, so now we're talking about increasing the
Numbers
amount
2 and
coming from
3.
reserves by $2.9 million. That would certainly exceed any of the increased expenditures we've added, but we're not done with that. So if this passes, we have $2.9 million in additional revenue to work with, if you will, or to consider along with the other revenue additions, which we've already taken care of, which is about 250, 325, almost 400,000 so far. All right, so any discussion on this, the amount of this? Yes, Counselor Allenson.
So I am not, I can definitely see the logic and, you know, I really want to be on board with it, but I just can't get there. I would propose to either split the difference or go down to the 1. I might even be comfortable with 1.9, but my proposal was going to be 1.5.
Well, that would be an amendment.
I'm not, I mean, I don't think that Counselor Tata will want to amend. We might have to vote on this and then do a counter.
Well, you
but
can propose an amendment
I can.
as a motion.
But she's not, but she has to accept it.
No, you don't, no.
I
No,
know.
you can vote to amend the motion.
Okay, I will,
Pass or fail.
I motion to amend to 1.5.
I do not accept the friendly
Is there a
amendment.
second for the amendment? Okay, no, so we're still at the 2.9. Other discussions? Counselor Laffin.
I would rather make sure that we've gone through all of the potential add-ons before we talk about any of the cuts. So while the 11.9 is too high for me, without question, and I'm more in the max at 1 mil, I'd rather just see what our total is first. So I would prefer to either have this withdrawn now or table it until we are sure that we have gone through everything else.
Are you okay just withdrawing it for now?
Yes, as long as we can come back to it.
Oh, we're coming back to it.
Sure.
Yes, we're
I
coming
will
back to it.
withdraw my motion.
Okay, withdraw the second. Okay, I'm going to call on my colleagues on the other side now.
I have a couple more. You want me to?
Oh.
Do you want me to finish up? Or you want me to wait?
I'm going to let you take a break.
Okay. Thank you.
Because some other things might impact.
You got it.
Frankly, I'm trying to acknowledge the fact that we've kept the Board of Ed sitting here. So I'm hoping somebody has a motion regarding the Board of Ed. Hint, hint. Counselor Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that we add $600,632 to the Board of Education budget.
Second.
That's 630? Okay, so the motion is to restore 600,000, right? $630 to the Board of Ed budget. And it's been seconded. Do you have anything to say about it? Where you got the number, what it means, or you want to let it go?
Sure. So they came to us with an amount and met with the mayor, and the mayor reduced the strategic part by $600,632.
Good.
The things that were in that budget seemed, feasible and acceptable, and I would like, they worked really hard to come to us with again, a lean budget, and so I would like to make them whole specifically on items like this, and that's my motivation for it. Thank you.
Any comments? Counselor Rosacci.
I, in particular, want to talk about the teacher lead positions because there has been so much cut from the budget over the past 3 fiscal years and that it caused a lot of cuts that were supports to teachers and supports to students. But we lost our coaches for the teachers, for the new teachers, and these positions will be able to pick up some of that and take some of the burden off our elementary school principals. These will be in the elementary schools. And we happen to be a district that do not have assistant principals in elementary schools. Some other districts do, we do not. I want to be able to take the burden off, some of the burden off the principals and get some teacher supports back. We've lost some additional things like college coaches, college career coaches. We've lost some paraprofessionals. There's several things that I can talk about that we've lost, but this begins to give a little bit back to the teachers. We have a little bit higher rate of staff turnover than the state average. I think this may be able to be a little bit helpful with that. I wholly support our teachers, and any supports that we can give our teachers and administrators, I will always be for. Thank you.
Anyone else? Counselor Allenson. I'll go back.
Sorry, this will be relatively fast. I just wanted to ask, from the, we're putting positions back in, does that include benefits? Yes, okay, appreciate it, thank you.
You all set? Counselor Rivard? No. Yes, Counselor Rivard.
Mr. Steno may want to check us on the precise number.
So if you're trying to restore the cut, it's 601,632.
Thank you. Amend it 601-632 if I said it wrong.
Second?
And now I do have a comment, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
First, I want to say thank you for the motion. Hopefully, everyone supports this. We've talked a lot about how the Board of Ed has had to stretch for years and years and years. I think we have an opportunity with the way this is playing out to actually fully fund the Board of Ed. And we all have discussed the value of the schools. We've all discussed that how schools help make a town economically competitive. I think if we're talking about future revenue, we need to stand up and say we support our schools, period. And, I stand in full support of this because I think there's a pathway forward, not because I want to spend more, but because I know that the Board of Ed is going to use this very wisely in trying to improve the outcomes and success of all our students. And there was a very thoughtful presentation on this. I also like the fact that we're going to add some maintenance personnel to an area that has been delinquent within the school systems, and hopefully, will prevent, some emergency responses that we otherwise could avoid. So I applaud this motion. I'm in full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone from the public? Okay. As for myself, I fully support this. I think it's an important year to try to acknowledge the way the board's been budgeting, and their strategic budget is not, and by any means, out of control. I think anything that we can do, if we're standing still, we're moving backwards, as the saying goes. Anything we can do to improve programs and the like, and that's what a strategic budget does. So I'm wholly in favor of that. I would also, however, like to commend the mayor and thank him for approving the sustained budget at the very least, because that is not normally what we see. So I appreciate that, and I value that. On that note, we will take a vote on this.
Allenson?
Yes.
Carmody?
Yes.
Laffin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Brevard?
Yes.
Versace?
Yes.
Tata?
No.
Testa?
Yes, motion passes. Okay. And thank you for being here, and carry on. Okay, as a little halftime update, actually a game end update, the New York Knickerbockers 133, Atlanta Hawks 78. That series is over. Big win by the Knicks. Okay.
Who were you rooting for?
I was favoring the Knicks.
You really? I'm surprised.
I'm a Knickerbocker fan from way back. Okay, but what a game. What a score anyway. I wasn't watching the game.
Yes, he was. I saw the video.
It was great. It was such a
That's
good,
the
you should have
iMac is right
seen,
there.
you should have seen what happened in the third period. Okay, so, can you do one more? Of course, we'll entertain it. Let me give an update. Where we are right now, before adding anything more to revenues, is we have added 840,232 net to the expenditure side of the budget. That's where we stand right now. We have not entertained increasing the revenues from surplus anymore. So, but are you doing that, or do you have another one of a different sort?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we add the senior clerk to the building department
Okay.
at $54,655 salary, and is it 32%?
Yeah.
Okay, so I calculated it, but that amount.
It'd be about 70.
Yes.
75.
Yes.
Second.
Round numbers. So, and that's the, what was it?
That's the senior clerk position in the building department.
So you formally made that motion?
Yes.
And I formally seconded.
You formally, Counselor Allenson seconded. So for that position in the building department, approximately $75,000. We'll get the actual number soon enough. Any discussion? Can you justify it?
Sure, thank you.
Building department here? Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, Mr. Capola.
was-
I just wanted, I mentioned it earlier, and again, the thread through the thought process I had was just in terms of what we're seeing as a town, what the needs are, the way that it was explained, the senior clerk position, that it would free up other folks in the office that could go out and do more of the inspecting work, also generate revenue. And so I thought that this position, especially in light of ramping up building, ramping up development, and so forth, that this would be worthwhile to have.
I really didn't need to come up here. Thank you.
do you like the idea? Are you in favor of this?
Yes.
That's great. No, we appreciate it. I didn't have to make you come up, but I thought you might
Thank you
have
very
an
much.
answer. So this does go right hand in hand with your increased revenues, correct? Your ability to collect those. Yes,
Yes, absolutely.
fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone from the public? Okay, vote.
Allenson,
Yes.
Carmody,
Yes.
Laffin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Rivard,
Yes.
Versace,
Yes.
Tata,
No.
Testa.
Yes. Okay.
Can I just make a note for the record?
Yes, please.
So you voted for 54,655 to salary and wages and building, and 17,500 for benefits in the HR.
And what would be that total? I didn't add them up.
72,155.
72?
72,155.
Great, thank you very much. Can we amend the motion to reflect that amount? Thank you. Or correct the motion. All right, so that puts us at 912,387. Are there any more motions to either cut or add anything other than the revenue from, okay, Counselor Allenson.
Hi, sorry, I went to look at something else, and now I need to go back. So I am, I'm making a motion to add back one more salaried position based on our work in ordinance from last month. I would like to add back the sanitarian to the health department. The salary for it is $81,709. If you give me, so that brings a rough total. I can't seem to get on the same exact number as Mr. Senna, but at 107,855 is my calculation, so I'm imagining he's $11 more than me. That's where it's been.
All right, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Counselor Laffin.
I love the health department, but I didn't feel like we had enough of a conversation that was selling us on that. The dollar amount also throws us off over the $1 million mark. And as I stated earlier, 1 million has been my flex area. Trying to create a net zero by increasing by 1 million. So I'm opposed to this for that reason, for those reasons. Thanks.
Anyone else? Questions about it, discussions? Counselor Tata.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As noted during the budget discussions, one of my big concerns with the health department was that they've seen a 24% increase in departmental spending over the past several years. And I know we heard some of it was because of a position hired during COVID that now is, we used grant money and now is funded. So I'm not comfortable this year adding another position there. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone from the public? And we'll get a vote.
Allenson?
Yes.
Carmody?
No.
Laffin? Reynolds?
Yes.
Rivard?
No.
Versace?
No.
Tata?
No.
Testa?
No. Okay. Are there any more motions other than a motion related to the reserves contribution?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Tata. Oh, that's
yeah.
right, I said, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. These, I'm going to go over quickly the 4 that I have left, because they're all going after the same.
I'm just stepping away for a moment.
Oh, sure.
Vice Chair has it.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So basically, the last 4 that I have, it's each department finding the 1% savings. I'm assuming nobody liked that, so that's probably off the table. And maybe not necessary. The contingency lines are still out there, so I don't know if we want to talk about that. And then the other 2 are the amount from reserves. So, I mean, it sounds like we might be able to get to the 0. It sounds like, even with all the changes we got, which is I think pretty good. So I guess saying that, it depends on just how we want to get there. So I'm okay with either reducing contingency lines or doing something there. So I could make a motion just for discussion's sake, or we can just go right to we can leave that for later if we want to just go right to the discussion on the reserves. But I'm gonna not do the 1% savings motion at this point, because I think that's probably a no-go. So I'm gonna get rid of that. So yeah, I guess I'm not really making a motion. I'm just wondering, does everyone want to talk about contingency first, or do we want to talk about the reserves first?
I would say contingency.
I think
Yeah,
we
I
need to
agree.
discuss contingency and the value thereof. And
All right, contingency it is. All right, so 2 parts of the contingency. I'll go with the Board of Ed contingency line first. So as I said before, we always have the general fund, so it's not like we're going to run out of money. We have the 570 there to cover it. So, God forbid the worst case scenario comes and they say we ran out of money, we can always get it from the general fund. I also know they have the 2% fund where they can get the money from. And also, it sounds like we'll know in a week or so that there may be extra state money coming. So that being said, I'll just make a motion for discussion's sake that we eliminate the Board of Ed contingency line, which is a total of $570,405.
Is there a second?
Oh.
No? Guess not.
All right, moving on to the general government contingency line. Unless somebody wants to make an edit or change that, maybe change the amount. That's what we had been doing. Okay, Mr. Vice Chair, you want me to move on to the next?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the general government contingency line, I'll make a motion. I'm going to make a motion for discussion's sake that we eliminate the general government contingency line, which is a total of $600,000.
Is there a second?
I'm going to second it because I have a question.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Do you have a question?
I actually do. So, learning from last year, how much do we, this is for the comptroller and for the mayor, recognizing that things can change in terms of contracts and things, the 600,000 that's in the contingency now, that is, I'm assuming that's sort of, that's the, we need this money, but this is also, if these things happen, money too, correct? I'm just wondering if we can if there's a breakdown. So like, or if there's a general idea. Because I know we reduced it substantially last year by like 1.3 million or something.
I just need to find the page.
Sure.
There is a breakdown.
Page 64.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, while the comptroller is looking for the breakdown, we are in negotiations with the Teamsters at this point, and that's the largest bargaining unit in town. So
I don't like to correct the boss, but that's, the Teamsters is not up yet. That will be for next year. So in this breakdown, we have 400,000 for regular expenses and 200,000 for accrued expenses. The 200 for accrued expenses would be for the tail end of the manager's contract. The manager's contract is the only contract that goes January to December. So in this January, that contract's out. So we have to account for 6 months of raises for the managers. So that's what's in there. The 400,000, the charter, why we need money in contingency is I can't take money from any other departments until a certain point of the year. And it's, as Councilman Laffin said, it's be prepared. Stuff happens that we need to be able to take from, money from. So, the contingency is there for a reason. It's so, hey, this happened, we need this. That's the only place I can go get it from.
Thank you. Yeah, and so that was I just was hoping that's perfectly clear. Thank you very much.
I'm in charge again? Okay. So what's up? Yes, hi. Counselor Donna.
Hello. So,
I catch up to the numbers here.
I'm looking at, I think everybody received from the comptroller the email where I had asked for the contingency, basically the results of the last year, because it's not in the budget book because it gets, pushed to other accounts. So I'm looking at, Counselor Reynolds just talked about what we did last year. So it looks like let's see. So the fiscal year that ended June 30th, 25, the general contingency amount was 250,000, and then the accrued expenses contingency was 800,000. So we're at, just over $1 million, and the ending balance was $612,050, and that's in that memo from the comptroller. If I look at the current year, so the balance as of April 15th, 26, so the entire contingency line was, it looks like 200,000 for general and then 300,000 for accrued, so 500,000 total. And that was the year that we reduced it. So 500,000 total, and the balance on April 15th, so a few weeks ago, was $177,000. So even with that large reduction last year, as of 2 weeks ago, we were still in the black by $177,000, and the total contingency was $500,000 that year.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, that contingency will be gone by the end of the year. We still have not moved the money to departments to pay for raises. There's departments that do not have enough money in their budget right now due to the contractual wages. We've been waiting to the end of the year because you don't want to transfer it too quick, because then they can come back to you guys and try to use it for something else. But that contingency, all the contingency for this year will be spent by the end of the fiscal year.
Lost my train of thought here. So I think I'd asked this during the budget process earlier this year, but if there were no contingent, so like we had said, we need it for emergencies. We can take money from the general fund, correct? If the council was approached to take, let's say there was no contingency and a department said, I need X amount of dollars, the council can do that, correct?
You can do that, but you're taking it from the same pot that you're already trying to stretch.
Right. I'm just, my theory is that's, I guess my point of making this motion is that is our rainy day fund. And so to tax people to add to the rainy day fund, it's not like a department's going to run out of money. We have the general fund if we needed it in the case of an emergency. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if you looked at that as a philosophical question, it would be our Our reserve fund is our contingency fund. That's in effect what you're saying. That's what philosophically, that's how you would look at that.
Correct.
If we need to tap it, we tap it into it. Okay, any discussions? Yes, Counselor
I just
Versace.
have a quick question. Well, first, sort of a statement. The thing that is sticking in my mind is the picture of our big salt cave and how it was completely empty this year because Mr. Baltramitis knew that we did not have a contingency fund for it, and so then they came to us now and had to ask for more money. So that's one of the things that's sticking in my head. And then, Mr. Senna, previously on previous fiscal years, were we spending our contingency fund that was previously allocated before we reduced it so much last year?
So we try not to use it unless we have to, but the 800,000 number, that was for a contract that was 3 years out. So for the first year, we put in 300,000. Then the next year, you got to put in 600,000 in case that contract's settled, so we have money to pay those raises. So that was 3 years of one contract. That's how it got up to 800,000. So if the contract's not settled, that money does not get used.
Okay.
But by having it in contingency, you have the base built for those salaries in that the next budget when those raises are there. If you have no money in contingency for those raises, when that contract comes through, it's a 20% increase in the payroll because you don't have anything built in. And the fact that it's not spent, it just goes back into reserves, which, that's one of the reasons why that 9 million doesn't get cut into every year. But that's not a terrible thing. If that 9 million got cut into every year, you would have no money to do this and you'd be raising taxes a lot.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I understand that the concept being advanced that the unallocated reserve is there as our rainy day fund. However, neither our auditors nor do our bond rating agencies look at it that way. And we will certainly be bonding in the coming fiscal year. Our bond rating becomes critical. We've managed to maintain a AA1, having been rated twice over the past 2 years. And we certainly, on behalf of the taxpayers, don't want to have them have to pay any more for borrowed money than we absolutely have to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. Anyone else? Anyone from the public? I will call for a vote. Hold on a minute. I wasn't here for the motion.
Yeah,
What am I voting on?
I believe my motion was to eliminate it completely, but I'm not sure if we maybe want to amend it. So instead of eliminating it, if maybe it's more amenable to change the amount,
That is your prerogative as the motion maker.
to amend my own motion.
You want to amend your own motion? Can you? Well, no.
Just withdraw it and do it.
No, you'd have to withdraw it and redo it. Yeah, that's a
Okay,
good
so I
point.
guess I would throw it out there if anyone wants to amend it.
They're not clawing at me about
All
it.
right.
Okay. So, let's call a vote.
Allenson?
No.
Carmody?
No.
Laffin?
No.
Reynolds?
No.
Rivard?
No.
Versace?
No.
Tata?
Yes.
Testa?
No. Okay.
All right.
It appears that everything that had been brought up or thought about has been moved, with the exception of the contribution from the reserves to the budget. Do I have a motion on that?
Do we have the math?
Oh, well, I'll tell you right now where we are. Right now, we have made changes that result in an increase to the budget of $912,407. So, if we offset that, we haven't made any changes to the mill rate as proposed by the mayor. Yes,
I
Mr.
have-
Senna, I may be off by $1. Go ahead.
I have 912,083.
You have what?
912,083,
083?
yes.
All right,
Oh, that's a altogether different story.
that's okay.
Well, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we take $912,083 from the general fund placed into revenue for the upcoming budget.
Second.
Okay. And is that all you want to do? Okay, so you want to do just the offset? Okay,
I am good with that.
all right. Any discussion? Counselor Tata?
All right, so I was going to propose 1.25 million, and the reason is, if there is a math error or something goes wrong between now and the motions meeting, if the point is that we're you know, the message we want to send is, we did all this work to not raise taxes, I don't want to get to the motions meeting and it turns out, oh, actually, we were off by $5,000 and like, we're actually raising taxes. So I would like a little bit of a buffer in there. And I think, you know, my initial motion was going to be the 2.9, I'm sorry. Yeah, basically the 1 million plus the 1.9. So I mean, I was at 2.9. So for me, 1.25 is, you know, totally doable for me. I don't know how others feel. I don't know if I want to make a friendly amendment and wreck your motion yet until I hear from people, but I would be willing to make the amendment if people are for it.
Okay, I'm just looking at some numbers here. Anyone else have something to say? Counselor Laffin?
I would just make it an even 1 million so that it lines up with all the other general fund allocations. It's the buffer. It'll reduce it a little bit, like Councilor Tata said.
Could do that. Are you making that amendment? A motion to do that as amendment?
I'll offer that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, you accept it?
Second.
Well, yeah, you accept the friendly amendment?
Yes.
All right, so the motion is now to change the line item for revenue, contribution to revenues from the reserve fund by, increase it by $1 million. That's what's on the table right now. Comments on that? Yes.
I was going to support 1.25. I don't know. So I will make another friendly amendment, or request another friendly amendment to get to 1.25 million. So $1,250,000.
Why don't you make a motion to amend the motion to, by that amount?
Okay.
Yeah, because that'd be better.
I make a motion to amend the motion from $1 million added to revenue from general fund to $1.25 million added to the to revenue from the general fund.
Okay, is there a second?
Does,
Is there a second for the amendment?
oh, second, yes.
Okay, now is there discussion on the amendment?
I have discussion.
Go ahead.
So this does not zero out the tax increase. We were told we needed to find 4.6 million.
Right.
To get to zero, we added more, and now we're essentially washing that out plus a little.
Right.
But Councilor Tata, you've expressed the interest in adding for the extra $250,000 as a kind of a meeting point. Would that extra $250,000 make you more comfortable to vote for the entire budget package, even though it results in an overall tax increase?
Yeah, no, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we were at the zero, not the, yeah. So no, this year I cannot support raising taxes, so that does not help, yeah. So the amount we're off to not raise taxes, we're off by,
Right.
337,655 probably.
Well, so regardless of what's
way
done
more
from
than
here
that.
forward,
No,
you're not
it's
going to
like-
vote for it.
we're off by like a couple million, I think, right?
I'm talking about what we.
We
Yeah.
added another 900,000.
Yeah, we added 900,000, so we're, basically, this would zero out what we added tonight, but.
Correct.
We need, yeah, so
We haven't
no.
chipped away at the tax increase yet with this amount of money.
Yeah.
So we're at $1 million right now. Anyone have any other comments? All right, my preference would be to have taken more. And I was okay with the amount that Councilor Tata recommended in the beginning. I certainly am comfortable with increasing it by 1.9 because we know that was our surplus last year. We can, justify it, certainly reasonably justify it by that amount. And then looking to even add a little bit more, to take a bigger bite out, I'd be agreeable to another $1 million, as she said. But we can find that middle ground. So I'm going to ask for about a minute breather. Just take a relax.
Can I talk while you're breathing?
Just relax for a moment. Yeah.
Or do you want everybody quiet while you're breathing?
Oh, guys, you could sing. I don't care.
Okay. So I get all that, but I think as we've discussed and Comptroller Senna has indicated, that 1.9 is already baked into the original 9. So we're already kind of stretching it. So we're kind of having the difference.
Well, that means we're taking 7.1. That's what that means. We're going back, the 1.9 is built into the 9, so we're really dipping further by 7.1 to equal 9. That's.
No, at this point, it's all baked in, though. It's all.
But I'm saying when you say that, right?
Right.
The 1.9, of course, it's part of it because it's in there. So when they're saying we need 9.
Sure, yeah. But 7
9.
was always a lot for me back then.
Right, so really it's
9 is extra hard. So I'm willing to bump it to 10.
Yeah.
For all.
It's okay.
All of us.
So you're good
I'm
with
just
that.
saying I'm good at the 1.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's similar to the contingency thing. I think we're at a philosophical point on how to handle.
Right.
What is the surplus? What is the general fund? What is a quote-unquote rainy day fund? And when I got on the council, we would fight over $4 million, and now it's at 10.
Yeah. I'm just trying to do some numbers real quick here to decide what I would like to do. Mr. Senna, again, the number you had given us to zero out was 4.6? Okay. So 4.6.
Plus 912.
If we can get 2.3, we're already at, well, we're even. Hold on. Yeah, no, this isn't going to work, because then I'd have to add. No, wait, almost 912. That's too much.
Plus, since maybe I still have the floor, I don't know.
You do.
If more money is coming from the state, whatever the amount is, then we can just hack that off. Because those revenue lines will go up.
Right.
And the tax amount will go down.
Well,
we are coming back and something is going to change.
Yeah, so we're going to get something more.
We're just trying to button up where we are.
If I say my 500, even though that's not going to apply to the tax rate, but it's going to put money back in to the fund.
It will if we reduce the revenue.
Well, I'm saying if we increase how much we take out of the fund, the money we get from the state will offset that.
No.
It won't lower the tax rate when we get it.
That would increase the revenue lines from the state.
Right.
And then we could accordingly reduce the tax burden.
Correct.
Yes.
If it happens before we adopt the budget.
It's happening next week.
Well, I'm saying if that happens, then we can make changes to what we just did.
Yes, but the vote is scheduled for next week. We just don't know the dollar amounts. And our vote is the following week.
Well, here's my thought. I looked at this and said, can we cut in half, as a round number, cut in half the tax increase? So the average home is 214, can we make that 112? Can we just cut it in half? To cut it in half is going to, with the 900 we already added, would take about 3.2 out of the general fund. That's what it would take. But if we expect to get at least 500 pretty soon, that brings us down to about 2.7. And the proposal that Councilor Tata had thrown up at the beginning was 2.9. So I'm going to make a motion to amend the motion to change it to $2.9 million, which would be the 1.9 surplus and one additional million from reserves, ongoing reserves, which in effect would result in reducing the tax increase proposed by the mayor by 50%, round numbers. That's an amendment to the motion.
I'll second that, because that was my original anyway.
Okay, so that's on the table. You can vote down the amendment and then continue to vote for the $1 million if you want. So go ahead.
Again, for me, if the second you said if we get the 500, then that just means we should wait till we know what that number is. So I'd rather we made some changes, and I think we made a responsible balancing act of it. I think we should leave it at there, and certainly open to bring this up again next week, or in 2 weeks, but I'd rather, it's a lot for me anyway.
Right, but I mean, if the
It's way harder not knowing that number.
Well, if the 500 doesn't come in, and then we're not quite at 50%.
Well, then what are we going to do, come back and change it again?
No, we're not, we're just not quite at the 50% reduction in the tax increase. We'll probably be at 40%. And we don't get the 500,000. But that was my thought pattern. Can I have a vote on my amendment, please? Roll call vote on amending this motion first. It's not to approve it, it's to amend it.
Allenson?
No.
Carmody?
Yes.
Laffin?
No.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Rivard?
Yes.
Versace?
Yes.
Tata?
Yes.
Testa?
Yes. Okay, so the motion now is to increase the amount contributed from reserves into the revenue line of the budget by $2.9 million. Any discussion on that? We already know what we're talking about. Any comments from the public? Okay. This will be the last vote of the evening,
So what's the total?
and it's a big one. What's that?
What's the total from reserves then, that this would be?
Well, that would have to come from, what would in effect be the result on the,
11.9.
11.9.
wait, that would be what's left in it?
That's what the 9 million would turn into 11.9.
Oh, right. It would turn, and you want to know what that would leave?
That's what I wanted to,
Oh, you just
no,
wanted
that's what
that.
I wanted to know.
I
yeah.
thought you wanted to know what would be left in it.
And
But
just
now I
for-
do, do we know what that basically leaves as a makeup for the general fund? Or that's a whole different calculation you'll have next time?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
So this is 11.9 that would come out of what is currently labeled unassigned?
Yes.
Okay. That was it. I looked at her notes.
And then, just for the record, when you guys, after this last motion, I have the permission to balance the budget by reducing the tax line?
What was that again?
Yes.
So after you make this final motion, the budget's not balanced, so I'm going to have to reduce the tax line. We don't need that exact number, but
Yes.
I'll present you guys with balanced motions.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And then you'll have time to do all of those, all the things you need, so when we come to adopt the budget, all those numbers will be there.
Correct.
But you'll share that with us as soon as possible, I hope. So we'll know what we did.
Yes.
Thank you. So in effect, right now, the unassigned fund balance is $20,716,000. According to what we were given this evening, we're looking to reduce that.
You don't have to get involved in that, which piece of fund balance it is. It's, there is a revenue line item that you're voting to balance the budget. It's just
Right.
It's just fund balance.
It basically leaves it at around 9 million, the unassigned. And the total leaves it by about, 32. All right, or 22. Okay, can I have a roll call vote?
Allenson?
Yes.
Carmody?
Yes.
Laffin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Rivard?
Yes.
Versace,
Yes.
Tata,
Yes.
Testa.
Yes. That was unanimous. Okay. Well, before I adjourn, I want to thank everyone out there, all of you for being here, and I want to especially thank all of my colleagues for an incredibly collegial and at times entertaining dialogue. No, everybody, I really appreciate all the work you've all put into this and how well we've worked together on this. And we'll see where we go from here. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you, and this meeting is adjourned.